Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video, as promised, it's going to be my part 2 of basically my reaction, my review to the leaks we got for Soulblight Gravelords slash basically almost the entire Battletome. So I mean, I'll still do a proper in-depth review when I get my hands purely on this Battletome, but we've got most of the rules here to give an overall thoughts. But bear in mind, by the time I get my hands on the Battletome, it probably will be about a week and a half from now. So the good thing about that is a lot of this information will sink in, and then thoughts and sort of like more ideas will build up in my head to be able to give a better review for you guys. But this is hot news on the internet today. We've got to talk about it and see what our thoughts are. And joining me in this video, as I am delighted to be, is gonna be Ben from my Discord. So how are you doing today, sir?
Hi, I'm not too bad. How about yourself?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Wish I could have covered this all earlier in one video, but here we are. And I think, to be honest, there's quite a lot of information to go through. Like, I think this video will probably be about an hour. Again, me and Ben aren't going to talk about every rule in like 5 minutes and stuff, but we are going to give like our overall summary. And because there's a lot of things, that's why it'll go on for a little while. But what will be interesting to hear as well is your guys' thoughts in the comments of this video, what you think we'll get. Again, a lot of you have put comments on the video I put up earlier today. I haven't had a chance to respond to them as I've literally been out all day, just got back to record this. So again, if you got any more thoughts since you put a comment on the last video, you haven't put a comment on yet, make sure you put on this one and I'll be happy to see what your thoughts are. And what I do want to say as well is that Ben is a very keen player when it comes to armies such as Hedonites of Slaanesh and Beasts of Chaos. So all I'm going to say, Ben, is that you're used to playing Age of Sigmar with not really drinking and playing, sort of like all head is in this game to make sure that you do not make any mistakes while you're playing, because those armies are not the kindest to people who play a bit lazy, are they?
They're not the kindest, but sometimes drinking and playing with it does help.
It does. Okay, well,
It soothes the wounds.
oh yes, exactly, and soothes the wounds and all about excess, isn't it? I suppose. But that's why I thought I'd be keen to have your thoughts on and stuff as well. So playing from, because what I'll say with those armies as well, so you have to have a very keen eye to find those synergies. They're not as obvious as, I'm not going to name the armies, but quite a few armies out there. You have to have quite a keen eye for it. So going through these rules again today, like I say, brand new or that sort of thing. I haven't actually read through all these ones yet. The only ones I've gone through is the one I did in the video earlier. So nice to have Ben along to sort of, again, he doesn't play this army, but just to see what, through his mindset of sort of like an outsider perspective, what he thinks. And then from my perspective, I'm someone who's played this army a lot when it's legions of Nagash and not the Soulblight Gravelords. So it should make for an interesting video. And if you do enjoy the video, make sure to smash that like button. And the last one, just to say, as you can see in the video, I am wearing a Soulblight Gravelords t-shirt. This is definitely not a Batman t-shirt. This is a vampire bat on the front of it. So the first thing we are going to do in this video is we are going to talk about the dynasties, so the bloodlines, the sub-allegiances, whatever you want to call them, for the Soulblight Gravelords that are available to us in this file before we go on to the Warscrolls, because I want to do this sort of like review of the league Battletome in order. So that's why I did the allegiance abilities, now the sub-allegiances, how you would read a normal Battletome, and then we'll get onto the Warscrolls after. So if you are watching this like on demand, if you will, after the premiere's finished, if you want to go straight to the Warscrolls, skip a bit into the video to find that. But the first sub-allegiance we're going to talk about is going to be the Avengori. So this is the dynasty that is all about the monstrous and has like the mother of nightmares and everything else. Again, I won't be reading through all the lore and stuff here. I will be doing this in different videos because like we've already said, Ben, this will go on for long enough as it is. Yep. So the first rule we're going to read to, and again, if it's a bit too small for you guys and anything else, don't worry, because I will simply just read it completely out. But to be fair, if I zoom in, the quality is still pretty good, so that works out well. So the first thing is Cursed Abomination. So if a Soulblight Gravelord army with the Avengori Dynasty keyword includes any Terrorgeists or Zombie Dragons, one of those models has a Curse mutation. Choose which model will have the Curse mutation, then pick from or roll on the Curse mutation table opposite. So just pick whichever one you want. Basically, this is a mount trait. So you can choose one additional friendly Avengori Dynasty Terrorgeist Avangori Dynasty Zombie Dragon to have a cursed mutation for each Warscroll battalion in your army. A model cannot have more than one cursed mutation, and an army may not include duplicates of the same cursed mutation. Is that? I think that bit might be new for some of these mount traits. Maybe that you can't have the same one. Like I think I might be wrong, but I think I've seen Flesh Eater Court armies with multiple gruesome bites lying around. So that might be new, or that might just be a standard.
I think with that one in the Stormcast one, it's the same word. You can't repeat.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. So the 2 you get out of intro. Do you only get 2? Anyway, so this really says, so you got Monstrous Might. So subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with many weapons that target friendly Avangori Dynasty Terrorgeist, Avangori Dynasty Zombie Dragons, or Avangori Dynasty Vampire Monsters. So basically the normal version of the Mother of Nightmares, presumably. Unless the attacking unit is a monster. And also Mortarks and stuff. So that's all right. I mean, as soon as I started talking about Flesh Eater Courts and thinking about re-rolling hits on that gruesome bite, my expectations are quite high. But subtract from 1 from wound. It's not bad because your base is going to be big, but let's see what the next one's going to be. Unstoppable Nightmare. So in the combat phase, you can pick 1 friendly Avangori Dynasty Terrorgeist, Avangori Dynasty Zombie Dragon, or Avangori Dynasty Vampire Monster to unleash its monstrous power. If you do so until the end of that phase, use the top row on the on the model's damage table, regardless of how many wounds it has suffered. The same model cannot benefit from the ability more than once per battle. So what I will say is this is obviously dependent on how much the damage table affects the monster. But I quickly think I think I prefer this Unstoppable Nightmares because again, if your monster is heavily impacted by its damage table, being able to go to square one is pretty good for it. But it's a shame that you can't use it to help you with movement and everything else, especially with like big flying zombie dragons and terrorgeists. What are your thoughts on that one, Ben?
No, I like it, and especially it looks to be free, so with no actual cost to it. So if you end up say going like Realm of Beasts and you can use the command ability for that as well, you end up with 2 that can fight with the top row.
That's very true. So yeah, that's a good point. And something just to mention here is that if you've got like a battalion in your army as well, and you're thinking, well, maybe should I try and include another battalion on top? I don't know how good the battalions are here yet. And Legion of the Nagash, pretty terrible. So we'll wait and see. But there's not really much point in having more than 1 battalion to try and get an extra, the Nightmare Brood monster traits, just because there's only 2 to choose from, isn't there? And you can't have duplicates. So
there's 3 curse mutations. Yeah.
Which one am I missing?
So there's Maddening Hunger, Urge of the Viscosity, and Fruct.
Is it not just Monstrous Might and Unstoppable Nightmares? Am I on the wrong page?
I think you're on the wrong page.
All right.
Yeah, the curse mutations are on the 2nd page. It's fucks.
The Monstrous Might.
So Monstrous Might and Unstoppable Nightmares is just something that the brood gets
okay,
anyway.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, okay. Well, I gave too much thought to that then.
That's why they're better than you think.
Oh, that's why he said because it's free. I was like, well, I suppose it is free because you get one of them. Right. Okay. Thank God you're here.
No, this is army, yeah. So this is all army wide. So
skipped right to the last.
So so subtract 1 to wound is amazing.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I love that stuff then. That's great. And I was thinking like there's only 2, so I was like, well, you can't really take that. Right. So, Maddening Hunger. So once put at the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy model with a wound characteristics of 1 that is within 3 inches of this model. If you do so, that enemy model is slain and you can heal 1 wound allocated to this model. That could be once put at the start of the combat. So you can't break unit coherency and stuff that well.
You can if you attack second. If you go second and they've already gone, you've got a good shot at stopping the cohesion. It would have to
be like they strike first because it's once per turn, but it's at the start of the combat phase.
Oh, it's the start of the combat phase.
So unless they fight first, unless they're like Iden F Deepkin or something, and thralls maybe they have one wound like, but so it's interesting. I like it how it just flat out kills it. It's not like roll double twin cash or something. But you've got Urge of Atrocity. So once per battle, this model can run and still charge later in the same turn. I mean, that's pretty solid. Only once per turn. Once per battle. But it's all right. But you've got Null Blood Construct. So reroll successful casting rolls for enemy wizards within 9 inches of this model.
That's definitely a go with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I love it if it was you can reroll failed casting for wizards within 9 inches of this model if they're friendly. That'd be great. But yeah, it's all right. Is that your favourite then? Did you say?
Yeah, that's it's also the one of the ones that you can use like more often. I mean, you've got the once per turn.
Everything's once per.
Well, no, you got the once per turn for the Maddening Hunger, but the construct, because you want to get your the monster in the middle of the fight and as close to the enemy as you can, and they're pretty good at eating wizards.
That's true, and there might be things like there might be other ways in this Battletome maybe to get run in charge somehow. So I don't know if there is or not yet, but yeah, I agree. Null Blood is pretty nice. I think it'd be nice if you could do like 2 win models and stuff for Maddening Hunger. Like it. Again, you're probably only going to take one of these, unless obviously the battalions are worth it to take a second. But yeah, they're right. Yeah, I think Null Blood is probably the best one out of the 2 on that one. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, put it on the spot here because my mind's gone blank. If you're a named character, can your monster take a mount tray? Probably can't, can it?
I don't believe so. Yeah. I'm not 100%.
I just think like anything to do with trait or an artifact, I think is a no. But again, like 3rd edition's around the corner, I think so. All subject to change. But right, so now that we've got on top of the battle traits, and again, like you can only pick one of those monster traits, and I know like other books may have better monster traits, or whatever. But you are getting the 2 other things: Monstrous Might and Unstoppable Nightmares. So you are doubling down on it really. And then going on to the command trait. So this is Twisted Paragon. So the first one is an eye for an eye. So if any wounds or mortal wounds are allocated to this general in the combat phase, add 1 to the damage characteristic of many weapons used by this general, including their mount, until the end of that phase. Oh, I like that one.
It sounds a very good one. There's not many commander traits that affect the mount as well.
Yeah, and like especially when. I mean, I know there's other good ways to affect the mount, but for me, like as soon as it says the word damage and it affects the mount, it's like yes, because like you're a vampire. I was gonna say just a vampire lord and zombie dragon who in Legion of Nagash was always like, well, not always, but a lot of the time was classed as a great general to have. The zombie dragon claws on full health do a 7 attacks 2 damage. Now it's 7 attacks 3 damage. Like quite a big bit of a jump there. The lance goes from 3 to 4 in the charge. So I do like that. And it's got a good name to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
And you've got the next one, which is Torment Driven. What's the last word?
Throws.
Throws, fantastic. At the start of the combat phase, you can roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this general. On a 5+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound and can only attack this general in that phase after this general has already fought in that phase. I mean, it's on a 5+.
It's the 5+. You're not playing with it. It's just a bonus, really.
Yeah, and I think if it was better than a 5+, would it then just be like a bit too good? Like,
yeah, we had the same issue with the first Slash book.
Yes.
With that being on a 4+ for Strikes Last.
Yeah, or Keep It Secret, it's a 2+.
Like, yeah. Or it's similar one to the old Contorted Epitome, which was multiple units as well. So but you can do it on multiple units. So if you get with a monstrous character, you've got a good chance of being within 3 inches of 2 units. So it does increase it a bit.
That is true, and I think again we've only just read the start of this, everything else, but from what I'm liking here, again, when this book was coming out, I said I don't want it to be too powerful. The biggest thing I want is to see the lore transferred into the rules, because the reason I love the undead in Age of Sigmar and vampires and everything else is because the story's really cool. So that's my biggest thing. I don't want these to be up there. I haven't read all the rules yet, like I say, but I don't want these to be up there. Luminous Realm Lords, Seraphon, everything else. It's not what I'm interested in. But the reason I'm saying that now is because what I'm liking when I'm reading these things is I can kind of see a reason to take a lot of these either command traits, mount traits that we're reading out. There's not like one that I've got so far. So, oh, you're never going to take that. Like there seems to be a lot of room for experimenting, is what I'm trying to say. Which I like, rather than just like there's one that's an auto take. But number 3, you've got Unhinged Rampager. So you can reroll charge rolls for this general. I mean, to be honest, that's pretty damn good. Like, I won't lie. I mean that.
Yep, it's probably one of the best ones. And then if you end up taking that with the Urges of Atrocity for the run and charge,
yeah,
you're more likely to get into combat. So it's what we want.
You can, like, again, let's say command abilities and stuff stay the same how they are at the moment. Make yourself run a flat 6, and then you can re-roll the charge. So yeah, that's quite good. And
Average of about 27-inch range.
Yep, if you do Amethystine Pinions as well, which is a spell read earlier, add 6 inches to your movement. If you get it on 9 or more, you can add 12 inches to your movement. So yeah, I like that. That's pretty good.
So what you're saying is you can catch the Lumineth now.
You can maybe if they injure their ankle before the run, maybe.
Yeah.
Like you maybe have fox for dinner. So then the next thing as well to go through. I understand we've been jumping around a bit, but this link is not that well organised, but I am very grateful for it. So the next one we're talking about is going to be the Artifacts of Power. So these are monstrous spoils. So the first one is Breath of the Voidmaw. So once per battle in your hero phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer that is visible to them and roll a dice on a 3+. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
D6 mortal wounds.
D6 mortal wounds, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking just on the 3+. I like that, but you're going to be so annoyed if you roll 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's one of those where you take it if you had a battalion of spare artifacts.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's one that I'd go for.
I like it that it's 6 inches and not 3. Like, so you don't have to be in combat.
Yep.
But
it's also in your hero phase, so you're going to be, if you were within 6 inches during your hero phase, you're probably already in combat.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. And I'm just going to roll nothing but 1s and 2s for it, so...
Yeah.
The one time you give it a try. The one time you give it a try. And then the next one, which is Gorvar Collar. So once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can say that the bearer will don Gorvar's Collar. If you do so, you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by the bearer in that phase.
I think that's pretty solid. There's not many ways to reroll wounds, so if it was reroll hits, it'd be a bit lackluster. But rerolling wounds, it's good.
But it's only in that phase and it's once per battle though.
Yep.
Which is if you can get yourself to wound on 2s or something, or if you have a bucket load of attacks, I can see, like, if there's no other ways to affect your wounding in the army, I can see that being good. But I feel a bit lackluster on that at the moment for myself. But the next one is the Furious Crown. So once per battle at the start of your charge phase, you can say that the bearer will unleash the fury of the crown. If you do so, after the bearer makes a charge move in that phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inches of the bearer and roll a number of dice equal to the charge roll for that charge move. For each 5+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound, which kind of just feels like an in between the good ogre charge and the not so good ogre charge ability.
Isn't the same one as the Maw-Crusher gets? Is the Maw-Crusher a 5+ as well?
I don't know.
But they get. I think they get that built in.
Yeah, it might be a 4. Might be a 4.
Yeah.
John, this is the same as a Chaos Chariot.
Right.
Which to me doesn't stream greatness. If I'm honest, like
No.
I've charged a Chaos Chariot into a unit of Salamanders, and it was the Rurebringer Battalion for extra mortal wounds. And I ended up doing amazing and did like 7 mortal wounds to a Salamander unit on the charge, which the Chariot could die after that because it didn't matter. But yeah, I think like I said earlier, like I don't want this book to be all the way at the top and everything else. But there is. Like, if you look at all the artifacts, for example, here, it is all once per battle, which is a little bit annoying, I would say. Especially for things like, I don't think the Furious... I'm not a huge fan of the Furious Crown. I get it, there's ways for you to, improve your charging by re-rolling and everything, but I don't like that. I think Gorvar's collar might be what I'd go for, but I think... I'm not gonna lie. More of a case of like just trying to be excited and stuff. I think I'd probably go the Breath of the Void more, just as a punt. But Gorvar's Collar.
I think Gorvar's Collar might have some synergies later on in the book.
Yes, exactly. And I think if it affected the mount as well, that'd be like, I think that'd be really good. If it like affected the zombie dragon and stuff as well. But again, like there's the new War Scroll for the Mother of Nightmares. Again, name character, but the normal version I haven't read, so I'm not too sure how much of a beast is, and we'll gather more as we go through this. So those are all the ones for the the Avangori dynasty, I think is how it's pronounced. I'll be honest, like I'm a simple chap, and just like an army of monsters that I currently already own the models for, it's very tempting to just do this straight away. It seems quite fun, I think. What are your thoughts on the Avangori, Ben?
Yeah, they look interesting. They definitely seem to be more of the hunting the little ones meta rather than like going against other big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because a lot of monsters sometimes get taken out by like death by 1,000 cuts. So now I've taken down like various monsters with 20 demonettes with big exploding sixes. But if I'm wounding on 5s, it's going to be a nightmare for it.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, it's because I think that's the other thing, isn't it? You're getting those 2 standard things as well. And if you cut it by 1,000 pieces, but you leave it on 1 wound, it's then just going to use it once per a battle way to be able to go to the top of the damage table.
Yeah.
To hit you back as hard as it can. So yeah, I think it's good. And I like it that...
yeah.
I was just going to say, like, as a Flesh Eater Court player, when the Flesh Eater Courts got that update on Gristlegore was really good. As soon as I read the rules, I was like, this is too good for me to be able to enjoy and use this against someone at the current moment before I got basically FAQ'd. But this, I feel like I can use it straight away. This seems fair. Like, so that is what I do like. So
yeah. I like it too, but like the Eye for an Eye command trait works really well with Unstoppable Nightmares.
Or... Well, which one? The command trait works well on
Unstoppable Nightmares. As if you're fighting on your top wounds, and that means you've probably already taken damage that combat phase. You've got +1 to all your damage.
Oh yeah, okay,
including the mount.
Yeah.
So it's like as your one last hurrah to try and wipe out a unit, then it's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. I'm liking this a lot already, so that's good. And I kind of left like reading the command traits thinking that maybe Unhinged Rampage is the best one. Sage is spending that command point to reroll that charge, but then I'm thinking the Eye of the Eye now is probably the first one I'm going to use because anything to do with damage, like I say, very simple man. That's what I do. So with the Avangori done, the next one we're going to have a look at is going to be the Castellet, I believe it is pronounced. So what we'll do here, can I zoom in on... Okay, I've actually clicked zoom in. It makes it more blurry somehow. But I can use the power of Google to try and help me, but it takes me to a bunch of car ads. No, thank you. Just try and zoom up quickly. The Castellet. Okay, so here we go. That should be... Yep, Castellet, here we go. So, the battle traits. So, you have the Shifting Keep, which is instead of setting up a Castellet Dynasty Blood Knights unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it is set up in ambush as a reserve unit. You can set up one reserve unit in ambush for each unit you have already set up on the battlefield. At the end of any of your movement phases, you can set up one or more of these units on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge, and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. At the start of the 4th battle round, reserve units that are still in ambush are destroyed. Now, come as a Beast of Chaos player who can, do it on the 1st battle round, maybe on the 2nd if you're lucky.
Yep.
Yeah, the 4th seems quite luxurious.
I'm jealous of this one, yeah.
Luxurious / the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
But, so, this was in the preview for Blood Knights and stuff, so I have read this rule already. I felt like, again, there may be more synergy down the line, so I don't want to go too much into it now, but I was just like, the Blood Knights that come on the board edge, they need to make that 9-inch charge.
Yep.
Otherwise, they're just sat there. They haven't had any buffs put on them yet. So, I feel a little bit like a bit of sitting ducks, but again, that's something a lot of things have a problem with when they set up 9 inches away from the enemy, and there could be synergies to help them with their charging. So that's all I'm just going to say at the moment. But it is only for your Blood Knight units, and just in case you're not familiar, the Castile one is all about like knightly orders and all about Blood Knights. So if you want to go big on Blood Knights, this is probably going to be the one for you. And I believe Blood Knights are battle line in this one.
Yes, they are, yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't want to take hordes of zombies and skeletons and stuff, take this one. And I believe the zombie dragons and terrorgeists can be battle line in the Avangori one we just read, but we can look at the points at the end and just confirm that later. But I think so. So
yeah, they are. That's true.
So it feels like a more fair Gristlegore, which I'm quite happy with. So the next thing you have for the Castile, as part of the battle traits, is the Might of the Crimson Keep. So each time a friendly Castile Dynasty vampire unit destroys an enemy unit, that friendly unit gains the relevant ability below for the rest of the battle. A unit cannot gain the same ability more than once per turn. So I really liked this when I read this on the preview, because I just thought it was just really fluffy, like really sort of like lore inspired and stuff, which I thought was quite cool. Because the first one you get is if the enemy unit that you destroyed was a hero or monster, you get the Blooded Strength. So add 1 to the damage characteristic on many weapons used by that unit, excluding the mounts. I mean, it would be like, oh, then the mounts get empowered, but whatever. But then it goes from your now damage 2 on the charge to now damage 3 on the charge, which is nice. The next bit is if the enemy unit had a wound characteristic of 3 or more and was not a hero or monster, you get the Stolen Vitality. So add 1 to the wound characteristic of that unit. So now your Blood Knights are all 4 wounds apiece, which is pretty good. And then the last one is if the enemy unit had a wound characteristic of 2 or less, you get Absorb Speed. So add 2 to the run and charge rolls for that unit. So what I really like here, like I said, it just feels loads of like really sort of like lore inspired, but doesn't matter what enemy unit you wipe out, you're gonna get something. Again, I get it, like by the time you wiped out that enemy unit, you might be at half strength, like the battle may have deteriorated badly in your, not in your favor, so this isn't gonna help, and you have to wipe out an enemy unit, it's not just killing a model. But I like it. Like almost it reminds me of like the Eye of the Gods for the Slaves of Darkness, where it's not a terrible list of things that can happen. You just aren't always guaranteed it. But I think Blood Knights are pretty capable of doing a lot of damage to the enemy. Like they will get some of this stuff off. What are your thoughts on it, Ben?
No, they will. And if you're picking and choosing what you go for to try and get the buffs themselves, so if you're running, say, 10 Blood Knights, you can be quite easy to hunt down monsters with it.
Yep.
So if you really want that +1 damage, just go. You can take down an easy monster, because not all monsters are 14 wounds and do damage 4 or 5. I mean, like the Cockatrice is a monster, and that'll drop to a unit of 5 of these in seconds.
Yeah, that's true. I think.
So
yeah. That's I was just thinking little ones. I think like the Korgarath is one. Like
yeah.
And it's something to note is monster, not behemoth. So there are like a War Shrine's not a monster, but it's behemoth. Like. So there are a few, but like you say, like Cockatrices, Korgaraths, there's other things as well out there. And what I like is that if you kill an enemy unit with wound casting of 2 or less, so a horde size unit, could even just be a unit of 10 models and a back objective or something that you've snuck around, maybe teleported on from the board edge, but maybe outflanked them, charge from taking that objective, and as a bonus, you're now +2 to run and charge the rest of the game. Like, it's quite a. I really like that as a battle trait. I think that's really cool. And then the next thing you get is the command trait, so the Lords of the Crimson Keep. So this is for Castellet Dynasty Generals only, and you get 6 to choose from now. It's not just 3, which is nice. And the first one you get is Beacon of Bloodshed. So after this general makes a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this general and roll a dice on a 3+. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So I don't know if it's confirmed, Ben, but this kind of artifact is available, or this kind of ability is available in every book known to man for Age of Sigmar. Like it's always,
much.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's on Slash. It's on one of the Slash ones, has it?
yeah. Oh, is that actually? This is on a 3-up. I think they're usually a 2-up. Might be wrong.
It depends on the book, I think, but it's 2 or 3 up on most of them.
Yeah. After the general makes a charge, it's just flat all right. There's probably going to be something better we're going to read. So you got Master of Retaliation. So at the end of the combat phase, if any models or mortal, at the end of the combat phase, if any wounds or mortal wounds were allocated to this general in that phase, this general and this general was not slain, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of them and roll a dice. On a 2+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. I quite like that. I think that's pretty nice. Like, because you know those situations where you leave something on like 1 or 2 wounds or something, and you can just go, boom, take D3.
Yeah, but if you leave them on 2 wounds, you're guaranteed to roll a 1.
Oh, of course, yes, I know. But then you can the next combat phase, you can fluff all your attacks, and then you can do this again. So, but yeah, I get you. Wouldn't it be great? You know, it's like you could do D3 mortal wounds. Just make it 2 more wounds.
Just flat 2 damage, yeah.
Yeah, there won't even need to be more wounds to me. The enemy can make a save roll. But the next one we've got is Power in Blood. If an enemy unit is destroyed within 6 inches of this general gains the relevant ability from the Might of the Crimson Keep battle trait above, even if the enemy unit was not destroyed by this general. Was that just the Blood Knight list we were talking about? Was that?
Yes, it was. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so then the.
So they don't have to destroy it. So if you're
sorry, I'm rereading it as well. Like it's Castellet Dynasty Vampires, not like
yeah.
I was thinking pure Blood Knight unit. Like so.
No, it's all vampires.
Well, that stick an extra 2 points into my opinion to what I think of that. Then that's great. So what's this? So if an enemy unit is destroyed, okay, so it just like it is empowered by the carnage nearby.
Yeah. It doesn't have to do the work, basically.
That's cool. I don't like. Well, we'll see if it's the best one, but like that's, I like it. I think that could be decent. Depending on the hero, but then again, that hero would, for it to benefit from this, you would want it to be quite a combat orientated hero already. So it would have probably already destroyed a unit, but then that one unit can't destroy all the enemy units to get all the buffs. So could be useful. So number 4, you've got Rousing Commander. So once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can say that this general will rouse their warriors. If you do so until the end of that phase, friendly Castellet Dynasty Vampire units holding within 12 inches of this general benefit from the Blooded Strength and Stolen Vitality abilities from the Might of the Crimson Keep, battle trait above, if they have not already gained one or both of them. So that means that they get the extra wound and they get...
And +1 damage.
Do you have to choose, just quickly, or is that you get both?
I think you get both.
If they have not already gained one... So if you've gained... So let's say you've already gained the Bloodied Strength. You won't actually benefit at all from this.
I'm not sure.
I don't think that's how it's intended, but I think that's how it's worded.
Yeah, so that's a waiting for the FAQ. Because I mean, rules written, probably that's how it sounds, but I think it will FAQ it be you can't be affected by Blooded Strength twice.
Just like after the rousing speech, and like one of the Blood Knights says, "Yeah, I'm really up for this. So, unfortunately, because you've already done quite well, we can't give you a reward, as we need to give it to the people who haven't surpassed our expectations to try and hope them out." But I like that. That's pretty good. Because, like you said, you can't guarantee on that stuff. So, yeah, that's a good buff. So you're +1 wound for a turn, and you've got that +1 damage. So, yeah, that's cool. I can see that being used. Number 5.
But I suppose with that one, it would also help you getting the Blooded Strength or the Stolen Vitality, because it'll help you kill a unit with it. So you might not have it to start with, but by the end of the phase, you probably could have it.
Exactly. So it says once per battle, but really, it will help you out for longer. So yeah, I like that. And then Swift and Deadly. So you can reroll charge rolls for friendly Castellet density units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this general. That's always a good ability. Like, because like we looked at the one for the Avangori where it's like the general can reroll its charge, whatever it was. This is just like giving it to friendly units while they are within. Yeah, so that means it affects the general and everyone else.
Yeah, but it's also just the dynasty units, so it's not just on vampires as well. So if you've got your general running it with like Graveguard or something else, then it benefits them.
Okay, yeah. But I can see this being useful. Like I get you, there is like technicality there, but it should affect what you want it to. Like if
Yeah.
you're like until like all the tech and stuff comes out of like list building and stuff. All this, I can imagine like a lot of people straight away trying this out are just gonna blood knight it or whatever. So I do like that. And then you've got 6 Craven for Massacre. So Craven for Massacre. So this general can run and still charge later in the same turn.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I feel like if I was really going after trying to help out my movement with a command trait, I'd probably go Swift and Deadly. But the general, like if you want to look at ways you could try and buff it, if you manage to wipe out an enemy unit with a wound cache or 2 or less and you get the absorb speed, you're now +2 through your running charges and your running in charge. So
Yep.
you can make yourself run a flat 6. Now you're running 8, and then you can reroll your charges, which you're running a flat 4 at that point. You can do the amethystine pinions, whatever it was called, to give yourself at least +60. Like so, there's lots of movement shenanigans you could do here for like your characters basically in the army. So we go up now to see what the artifacts of power will be. So these are relics of Red Conquest. So these are for your Castellet Dynasty heroes only. The first one is Sword of the Red
Seneschal.
Seneschals. Thank you very much. So pick one of the bearer's melee weapons in the combat phase. If any enemy models are slain by attacks made with that weapon, add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made by friendly Soulblight Gravelord units wholly within 12 inches of the bearer until the end of that phase. Right, so that means that the bearer of this artifact has to fight first. But if you can make sure that that happens all rightly, the benefit's pretty good, I'm strong.
Yeah.
Because Legion of Nagash, Soulblight Gravelords certainly do have some heroes that can put out some pain, like the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, which is a really easy one to go to. So yeah, that's good because you can put that onto the Lance, which if any models are slain, okay, so not wounds inflicted, but models are slain. Yeah, I like that, but you just need to make sure you attack with that hero obviously first. So number 2 is a Blood Saint's Shield. So subtract 1 from casting rolls for enemy wizards within 6 inches of the bearer. I mean, that's never bad. It just feels very specific. Like
Yeah, it's not bad, but a lot of other things that are similar to that tend to be 12-inch range.
Yeah, and it's just like your Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, if he's within 6 inches of the enemy wizard, it's probably dead, or he's probably going against something that subtracting 1 to its casting is not going to do much.
Yeah.
So, I'm not a massive fan of that. There was I think Legion of Nagash, there was a relic that you could give in the Grand Host of Nagash, which one of the sub-legions that made the enemy was either within 6 inches or within 12 inches. I think it was 6. Subtract 1 from their casting value if they were like an order wizard, but also made them subtract 1 from wound rolls. So that part of it made it amazing.
There's the Corpse Cart one that stops casting. So if you can actually, if it's just the to hit into wound rolls that are going to be pumped to +or -1 in AOS 3, and not anything else, then you could get potential -2.
Yeah.
With it stacking.
So there could be it could be future useful. So it's always worth to talk about these things. So number 3, we've got Standard of the Crimson Keep. So subtract 1 from the hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons that target the bearer. It's never bad.
Especially in the current meta. It's quite good.
Very useful. Like again, you've got Vampire Lords, everything else that can have these artifacts. Well, you give it to a White King if you wanted to, blah blah blah. But what I'm trying to say is Vampire Lord Zombie Dragon, which is a very go-to in Legions of the Gash. It's a monster, so it's not getting Lookout Sir. It's far as things are currently. I don't know if that will change. So if it's not getting any minuses to hit, and then suddenly it just gets pelted by, like a 1,000 cuts, or it just gets, like you said, it's a shooter meta, right? So it gets blasted by salamanders or something. And then number 4, we've got Gravesand Shard. So once per battle at the start of the hero phase, you can say that the bearer will crush their Gravesand Shard. If you do so, add 1 to the rolls for the Deathless Minions battle trait for friendly Soulblight Gravelords units, wholly within 12 inches of the bearer until the end of that turn. So it's at the start of the hero phase. So as far as I'm aware, it doesn't have to be your hero phase, unless it gets FAQ'd, just because it says the hero phase. So if the enemy double turns you and they're really going to hurt you and you go, right, okay, this is where I need things to survive this turn so I can actually hit back, crack open the Gravesand Shard and it will help you somewhat, especially if your banners in your army for your skeletons and whatever and Blood Knights. So you're re-rolling 1s for your death save. So now you're on a 5-up re-rolling 1s for your after save, which is pretty good. So I can see that being useful. Well, you got any thoughts on that, Ben?
No, anything that gives a bit more survivability is useful. I mean, it's seen quite a bit on the Daughters of Cain, where they're 5+ after save.
Yeah, 5+, for some of the units re-rolling 1s. So yeah. I do like that. And then number 5, you've got Fragment of the Keep. So subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by enemy units within 6 inches of the bearer.
I like this one. I always like the ones that minus wound rolls because it's so hard to get pluses to the wound rolls.
Yeah, massive. Like as someone who was running Bellacore before the update and everything, and I think his spells are the same anyway. To make enemy units -1 to wound, it's definitely good. And it's for attacks made with missile weapons by enemy units within 6 inches. So it's not even they have to target him. So that's pretty cool. And what I would say is, I mentioned that thing earlier where it's like D6 mortal wounds onto an enemy unit once per battle within 6 inches of you on a 3-up. And I was like, it's good that, you don't have to be in combat range. And then with this, being within 6 inches, I'm seeing quite a few within 6 inches. So I don't know if like the range of combat's going to change in 3rd edition or something. Not saying that might be too big of a jump or thing, saying what could happen, but I am seeing a lot of 6 inches around for like a combat/offensive abilities. But no, so yeah, that is good. And then you've got, it's almost like, just to say, I was talking about the one that subtract 1 from casting value, wasn't I? And then I was saying, like, it's funny because in Legion of the Nagash it does that and it minuses 1 to wound. It's almost like they just split it in half.
Yeah, no, it does sound like that.
Yeah, and then you've got number 6, which is Red Casket. So once per battle, at the start of the charge phase, you can say that the bearer will draw upon the power of the Red Casket. If you do so, add 3 to the charge roll for the bearer in that phase. I mean, adding 3 is good, and especially how there's other things, isn't there? You can use the stack, being able to run in charge if you've already got absorbed speed. That's another plus, dude. I just think I prefer the other stuff. Like, I'm not saying that's bad. It just sounds a bit.
No, I think if I did have 2 choices, I'd probably go Fragment of the Keep and Sword of the Residential.
Yeah.
Those 2 just seem really strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be tempted to go Sword of the Red Essentials and the Gravesand Shard, but I do definitely see the Fragment of the Keep could be just like, after you've played like a game, it could just be like, yeah, I'm definitely going with that. So yeah, not bad choices, and almost like double the choices you've got compared to the Avangori, but then again you get mount traits and stuff. So like if you want to do an all Blood Knight army, it doesn't sound like you can, but it's going to be terrible. Like, I like that a lot. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And it just feels like, again, we've only read 2 of these out so far, but it does feel like just different. There's quite a lot of depth in ways you can play this army.
No, it's nice. You can essentially play a different army every time you do it, especially if you've got quite a large collection.
Yes, I've got
everything.
I don't know. I've got like 4 zombie dragons, like, because 1 isn't enough, and you can't magnetize them to make them Terrorgeist because otherwise you're not doing it right. So the next one we've got is going to be about my favorite character because it is Legion of Blood, which is all about Neferata. So
my favorite too.
Brilliant. I mean, the first vampire what is not to like? I mean, great. If you're interested, listen to Neferata, the Dominion or Bones, I think it's called. Or read it. It's a black and library novel about her, which is absolutely fantastic and looks deeply into Neferata, which is her I was going to say undead empire, but not really. Just like a vampire empire that has a lot of mortal citizens. Imagine a city of Sigmar army, not army, but city, dedicated to Neferata, which is like really, really quite interesting to hear the lore. But anyway, going on with this, so we've got the Immortal Majesty. So if an enemy unit fails a battle test within 3 inches of any friendly Legion of Blood vampire units, add D3 to the number of models that flee. So currently, I'm going to say, doesn't really matter because a lot of armies are avoiding battleship tests, or if they are taking it, it's probably like an extra D3 models isn't going to make a difference because they're all running away. Something like that. But I do feel like in 3rd edition, they're going to make Battle Shock a bigger thing. So I think this could be useful, seeing how things go forward with that. Because automatically when I think of this, I think like, if you go against a unit of Bulgors, yeah, make an extra D3 of them run away is great. But, they're very extreme examples.
Well, what about if you're against ogres or any other kind of bloody wound things? The extra D3, it's massive, and there is ways to debuff leadership in this bravery in this book.
Yeah, like definitely. I just feel like give it. When is it? Like within a month, 3rd edition's coming out. So give it a month, and then this will be even like more impactful.
Definitely, yeah.
Because like everything's got inspiring presence and stuff. At the moment.
Yeah, but if people are wasting inspiring presence on avoiding this, not using command abilities to hit you, so
yeah, I do definitely prefer this compared to what this rule used to be, Legion of Blood, which is subtract 1 from bravery. So I think this is more fun and cooler. And then the next thing you've got is favoured retainers. So ignore negatives, modifiers to hit, and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons used by Legion of Blood Death Rattle units, while they are wholly within 12 inches of friendly Legion of Blood vampire unit, or wholly within 18 inches of a Legion of Blood vampire hero. That is the general. Legion of Blood vampire unit. Okay, so I was feeling like I missed out the word hero there, but no, so that could be a unit of Blood Knights.
Yep, it seems really strong.
Yeah. Ignore negative modifiers to, and I was just checking it is negatives. It's not.
Yeah, it's not modifiers, so you can modify it to a plus, so you can get your skeletons and zombies hitting quite well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
No, it's really good.
Yeah, until because otherwise sometimes it's like, so what am I hitting on 6s? And you're like, how many dice have I got? And it's like 40. And it's like, I don't even really want to roll them, to be honest, at this point. So yeah, that's good. And then the next one is command traits. So this is the instruments of Neferata's will. So the first one you've got is premeditated violence. Is that what it is?
Premeditated.
Premeditated, fantastic. So if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by this general is a 6, that attack scores 2 hits on the target instead of 1. Make a wound and save roll for each one. Boom! We managed to get that ability in this Battletome, like we have
as well.
Yes, in every Battletome since the first Slaanesh book, I want to say.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's never bad. It just feels like at first when that ability came out, I was like, oh, that's really good, and then just loads of people have it now. It doesn't like devalue it, but it doesn't affect the mount. Like that's an important thing to say. Unless you're already a monster, basically. Yeah, it's alright, but let's see what the other ones are. So the next one is Soul Crushing and Contempt. So subtract 1 from the bravery characteristics of enemy units while they are within 3 inches of the general. So just another way to try and beat the enemy's bravery, to really make them suffer at battleship phase. That's all there is to say to that. Number 3, we've got Atrocities of Blood. So you can reroll charge rolls for friendly Legion of Blood units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this general. Seems to be they got that from the same shop as the Casterly guys, but that's still good. Like I said, wholly within 12 inches, reroll charge. Was there something you were going to say, Ben?
No, it's pretty much the same. Like everyone's got it, but with this one at least, this one relies more on your general like death rattle rather than like your blood knights or anything like that. So it's just helping them out a bit more.
Yeah, agreed. And then the next one we've got is Aura of Dark Majesty. So subtract 1 for hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target this general. I think that used to be an ability Neferata had, but maybe it was command B. Can't remember. Anyway, that not bad. Subtract 1 from hit rolls, but the command trait. I know command traits and artifacts are different, but the artifact from the Castellet guys to do the -1 to wound roll within 6 is much better. Number 5, Walking Death. So if the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by this general is a 6, that attack inflicts a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristics of the weapon used for the attack, and the attack sequence ends. Do not make a save roll. What are your thoughts on this one?
It's not bad. I mean, if you've got a lot of attacks and with damage too, then it's not terrible. But again, it's not. I don't think this army is going to lack mortal wound infliction.
Yeah, I this is again like anything, isn't it? It's swingy, but like Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon again. Until I read the Warscrolls, that's definitely going to be my go-to guy. And he charges in. His lance does 3 damage. So if you get a couple of 6s to hits with his lance, if you're really lucky, you could just go suddenly. Oh, that's 6 mortal wounds, but.
Oh no, it's not. It's a modified wound roll. So you've got to hit first.
Wound roll.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't.
So it's the same as the.
You're practically already there when you get to wounding. Like I get it. Some things have really good armor, say mortal wounds make a huge difference, Ishlan Guard, etc. But I feel like you've already done half the work. You might as well do the same.
Yeah.
But so the next one is Sangrian Blur. So. For any units that start a piling move, wholly within 12 inches of this general can move an extra 3 inches. I'm already liking that. Can move the extra 3 inches when they're piling.
That's just getting your death rattle swarming.
Yeah, like
you got a big unit. You got your big unit of 40. Well, it was 30 death rattle skeleton warriors, and then they're all in 6-inch piling. It's great.
Yeah, like straight away, really like that. Get those units of like 40 skeleton warriors in, and then you've got the Dead Walkers. If they're still the same, again, may change when I actually read what the rule is later, but if you can still take them units of 60, that's
the units of 40 now, so it's 30 for the skeletons and 40 for the zombies.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's saddens me, but it means it's cheaper, I suppose, to buy, maybe.
Less to paint.
Less to paint, exactly. I mean, I've already got over 100 of the old skeletons, like all painted and based, but won't be buying the new ones. But again, if it was a unit of 60 zombies, it'd be harder to be wholly within 12 inches, wouldn't it? So it swings and roundabout, maybe. But I like that one for sure. And then going on to we have got the second page for this one, haven't we? So the artifacts of power is the treasures of the bloody court. So the first one is a ring of domination. So each time the bearer is picked to fight in the combat phase, you can pick one enemy model within 3 inches of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 5+, pick one of that unit's melee weapons. That model. Sorry, I'll read that from the beginning. Don't know why my mind's going blank. So each time the bearer is picked to fight in the combat phase, you can pick one enemy model within 3 inches of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 5+, pick one of that model's melee weapons. That model's unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic of the weapon you picked. You cannot pick a melee weapon that refers to a damage table or ability to determine its damage. Right, so is this just pick an enemy unit, enemy model within 3 inches of you on a 5+, you pick the biggest damage they've got as long as it's not a star characteristic, and then that enemy unit suffers mortal wounds for how much damage that is?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. I think there was something similar to that in the Nagash Battletome.
There's one in this in the Slash book as well. He seems to be quite popular.
You pick and then you.
It's with subversion in Slash and the Invaders host.
Right, got ya.
Yeah,
I don't like the 5+ business. I get it. Like, let's say you're involved in 3 combat phases in a game. Who's got this? You're gonna get it off once per game, but yeah, it's not reliable. So yeah, it's not terrible, but I just don't want to fancy my chances, especially. Just gone over the Soulbound Garnets quickly, and it just said add one to save rolls for attacks that target the bear. Immediately just preferred that more. But going on to number 2, we've got Shea Glass Decanter. So after the armies have been set up, but before the first battle round begins, you can pick one enemy hero on the battlefield. In your hero phase, if the bearer and that hero are on the battlefield, you can roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or greater than the number of current battle rounds, that hero suffers a 1 mortal wound.
I quite like that.
Yeah, it's like because you get those support heroes at the back, don't you? So
yeah,
it's not bad.
Got a good chance at killing a goblin with that, or a caster.
Yes,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, that I can see how that has got its use. You go against the Beast Core Raiders army, you just go, fuck this.
Yeah, but again, it's an artifact, so it's probably going to be your second pick, and it's not a bad second pick.
Yeah, that's true. And then the next one is Orb of Enchantment. So once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy hero within 3 inches of the bearer and roll a dice. And a 3+, that hero cannot be picked to fight in that phase. So
I really like that.
Yeah, so there's a version of that in the Legion of the Nagash Battletome that I used for the first time about 2 weeks ago against Luke Picard in the Discord against his Beast Core Raider army. And I charged his... like Frostlord and Stonehorn or whatever it was, and just went like, yes, you can't fight me. And then I had 3 Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragons in my army, so I just attacked the other Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon doing something else, knowing the one against Stonehorn was going to be fine. But what I will say is I don't think it was a free up, and also it stopped the enemy hero being able to pile an attack or use abilities, which was quite big, so it couldn't use command abilities.
Yeah.
So it has got worse. But it's still good, but it has got worse. Number 4, we've got Soulbound Garnets. So add 1 to the save rolls for attacks that target the bearer. I mean, I really like this.
It's good, yeah.
It's just easy writing, isn't it? And it's just simple. Because you can have a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon with a 2-up save, presuming as long as his shield still gives him that extra +1 and stuff. So I like this. And then you have 5, which is that Obsolete Arcana? What?
I can't quite see it. It's quite a blurry one with it.
Yeah.
I can't say it's Obsolete Arcana. Yeah.
Something Arcana. Something to do with magic, presumably.
Yeah.
So once per enemy hero phase, when an enemy wizard successfully casts a spell within 18 inches of the bearer, and that spell is not unbound, even if a friendly wizard attempted to unbind that spell, before resolving the effects of that spell, you can roll a dice. On a 5+, that spell is unbound.
I quite like that.
Yeah, because it's also like I could have seen this started off by like once per battle, and then like, I'm not even bothered at this point.
Yeah,
but once per enemy hero,
yeah, it's good.
And you can try and unbind it first. Yeah. So it's not like instead of unbinding, you're trading that for a 5-up. So you'll probably never really do it. Here, I like this. So
but I mean, with stuff like Techless,
I was about to say Techless. I was about to say yeah.
Yeah. So that's on a 5+. Which would be nice.
And it's like I've automatically casted it. Don't care, mate. On a 5+, no. Like that would be.
Yeah, and
fun.
you do that. Yeah, it'd be funny. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I just love the idea of the enemy. Like, let's say they really need to get this spell off, and it casts on a 7. They haven't got any pluses to cast, whatever. They get it on a 7. You fail to unbind it, and the enemy's like, "Phew! Finally, I've actually managed to do it." And then you go, "Got this one other trick up my sleeve. What is it? Just need to roll 5 up on the dice." And you go, "Oh, you dirty bastard!" Don't you?" I think I like this a lot. And then you've got number 6, which is Amulet of Scream. So once per battle, when a enemy wizard successfully casts a spell that is not unbound, you can say that the bearer will use their Amulet of Screams. If you do so, the wizard suffers D3 mortal wounds after the effects of that spell have been resolved. So can you try and unbind this first?
No, it's not unbound.
Okay, so you can't try and unbind it and go, screw it, we're just going to...
Well, no, you can. If it goes through, you can just do it afterwards.
I suppose not even a friendly... Because if you look at the one above, it says it's not unbound, and then in brackets, even if a friendly wizard attempted to unbind. So it's just missing that bit.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you read it, the Amulet of Screams, it sounds like you can still unbind it anyway, but just because they've either chosen to write that extra sentence in the one above, or they just forgot to copy and paste it over to the Amulet of Screams...
or with the Arcana one, because it's effectively an unbind as well. So it's essentially like a double unbind.
Okay, yeah. All right, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, whereas this is just like afterwards.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's been times where I've seen it when you can do mortal wounds to an enemy wizard if they cast a spell, and it sometimes makes that enemy wizard go, "Oh, actually, I don't know if I want to do that." If it's like a spell that doesn't really matter, but one of those
Yeah.
spells was like, "Oh, I might as well do this." But
When Tzeentch trying to farm some points to summon.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I have to say, my favourite out of all of these is Soulbound Garnet. Again, just purely out of my part for being lazy, because +1 to save is, the reason why everyone went for Petra Elite.
I like the Kana personally.
Yeah, I can see that being good. I think the soul, I think like the Soulbound Garnet. I think it's just the easy one to pick.
Yep.
But I
No,
think
definitely.
yeah.
Orb of enchantment though, that's good. That's one of the things that'll just ruin someone's day.
Yes.
Because if that goes off an Archaon, it's just yeah,
Just fun, isn't it?
yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, that's cool. And then that is the Legion of Blood done. So then we've got the Legion of Night now. Now the Legion of Night and then the Virkos Dynasty. These are the two where we're missing the second page for. Like, again, if it's on the internet somewhere, feel free to chuck a link in the comments of this video. But at the moment, we don't have access to it, so we can only review the first bit. So the first one we're going to do is Legion of Night. So this is all about Manfred. And we've got, again, some of these abilities will be similar to what I covered in a previous article, because they did do an article about him. So you've got the Bait, which basically allows you to add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target friendly Legion of Night Death Rattle and friendly Legion of Night Deadwalker units that are in the first battle round. Again, if you're being alpha charged or something, it's useful. It used to just help your Death Rattle, and used to just be any point in the game for your Death Rattle units that are wholly within your territory, they get +1 to save. So I don't know if this makes it better. I mean, it affects your zombies as well, so there's a plus there. And then you've got Ageless Cunning. So this is, instead of setting up a Legion of Night unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it is set up in ambush as a reserve unit. You can set up one reserve unit in ambush for each unit you have already set up on the battlefield. At the end of any movement phases, you can set up one or more of these units on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge, and more than 9 inches away from all enemy units at the start of the 4th battle round. And if a reserve unit is still basically in ambush by the 4th battle round, blah blah blah, it is destroyed. So basically, Legion of Night also have access to the Crimson Keep, which is cool. I'm glad they share that, because it's exactly practically the same ability, but it's still deep striking, right? And where this can be useful is things like, they had a very similar ability in Legions of Nagash, and if you set up a unit of Morgasts Harbingers, which is the like big skeletal dudes who are in Ostrich Bone Reapers now, with their big glaives, you set them up, but they can charge 3d6, so that they on average will be getting that 9-inch charge.
Yep. So with this one though, you can also set because with the previous one it was just Blood Knight units. This one's everything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this can be heroes. You can set up your hero, and when we go into command traits, you'll see and add 2 to run and charge rolls for that general. So if you end up putting your general out, which I've done a couple of times playing a Beast of Chaos, just to get a charge on the backfield, it could get you the game.
Yeah, exactly. So this is good. Again, deep striking is always useful in whatever army you've got. And then you've got the command trait, so the rulers of the night. So this is for Legion of Night general only. And you can have above suspicion. So if this general is set up in ambush using the Aegis Cunning trait above, at the end of your movement phase, you can set up this general anywhere on the battlefield, more than 9 inches away from the enemy, instead of wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge. So I like this. You can just deep strike it. Yeah. Really nice. And then you've got number 2, which is Swift Form. So add 2 to the run and charge. Run and charge rolls for this general. Yep, that's no. If there's a way to get access to run and charge, great. I don't know if there is. And then number 3, you got Unbending Will. So do not take battleship tests for friendly Legion of Night units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this general. I think for the like at the moment, you're already in an army where you got bravery at least 10. Let's say you've got a unit of 40 zombies. You lost 7. You're still going to be +3 from like the mass regiment like ability for the battleship phase. So you're actually bravery 13. Like, yeah, it's not great in this army, but I think Battleshock will become more meaningful in 3rd edition. Is what I'll say for that. Number 4, we've got Merciless Hunter, so add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this general. Yep, that could be useful. Yep, like we said with the wounding stuff, so that could be good. Number 5, we've got Unholy Impetus. So in the combat phase, if an enemy models are slain by attacks made with melee weapons, so with melee weapons, not a single one, by this general in that phase, add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Legion of Night units wholly within 12 inches of this general until the end of that phase. It kind of reminds me of the Castile buff or an artifact there was, because you have to have the guy with this, so your general in this case, has to be fighting first to make the most of it. But if you can, tick that box, then it's pretty good. And then number 6, you have Terrifying Visage. So subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target this general. Which is good because obviously, like we said, there's not loads of ways to affect the wounding capability in Age of Sigmar currently. So which out of those is your favourite, Ben?
Favourite? It's between Merciless Hunter or Terrifying Visage to start with. But I do quite like Above Suspicion.
I like the pun they put on that as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like I like Above Suspicion, but I just feel like you may be relying on your general for like synergy and stuff. So do you really want him off the board? But it prevents him from being killed straight away, and then
but it also means you can set him up exactly where you need to be.
Exactly, because there's a lot of measuring for synergy in this army. So so I can see that. Just 9 inches away from the enemy.
I quite like it. It's like there's a few good. The only one that I'd say I don't like at all is the Unbending Will, but the other 5 have uses.
And that's what I was talking about earlier when I was saying like what power level I want in the book and everything else. I'm looking at this, and currently right now, first time reading it, I'm not seeing like 100% that's the one I'm going for straight away. Like I haven't like read half of these and then gone, I don't need to read anymore because this is the one. Which you do get quite a bit in quite a lot of Battletome, so I feel like they've done that nice balance. And again, it doesn't feel like they're all just crap. So that's why it's hard to pick one. It feels like they're all good, but there's not one that's just outstanding. Which I know could be like a double-edged sword in terms of, there's not one outstanding, and there's not one that's actually amazing. But then it feels like you have more freedom in your choice. You don't feel like, I have to take this one, otherwise I'm doing it wrong. So, I do like them. And then, like I said, we haven't got the second page here, and I'm not going to try and read the free readable words we've got on the side to try and guess what they mean. All I can tell you is you've got 6 artifacts to choose from in Legion of Night, and one of them is the something gem. That is terrible. That read in a article yesterday. So that means we go on to the Virkos Dynasty. So basically the Cursed City one that has been lost and abandoned by Games Workshop. So this is where they see their future.
The what one?
The one that's lost and abandoned by Games Workshop. You ask Games Workshop about Cursed City, and it's almost like imagine like a traveller like going to like a cursed land, and they need like transport to this the city of the lost, and he goes into a local tavern and he goes, I was hoping that I could talk to someone here about the Cursed City, and there's like hush whispers and no one wants to mention it because it's cursed and it's dreadful, and if you talk about it, bad things will happen to you and your family. Very much feels like what Games Workshop community service has been like in response to their terrible handling of Cursed City.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Going like, don't worry, it'll be available for a long time, and then going through social media and deleting all those comments.
I managed to get a copy at least, so that's all right.
That's good, but I'd say like the other side of that is like I would feel bad because like if I had a copy, but unfortunately I don't. But if I had a copy, I'm not getting expansions.
I
when they
know.
very
I
much
was yeah.
when
I
they're very
was looking
much.
forward to expansions.
And as much like obviously they chucked a lot of money into like the advertisement of this thing. They made a website and everything. It really felt like they were putting a lot into it. And they were like saying like I know this is going off topic now, but they were saying like they've done like 3 Warhammer quests. They've done Silver Tower, Shadows over Hammerhall, I think it was called, and then Blackstone Fortress. Blackstone Fortress did have expansions, and then they said like after doing those 3 Warhammer quests, they've learned now how to make the perfect one. And then it just like money grab, but it's not even like I don't get it though, because if they did expansions or they just made more copies, they clearly
It'd
would
sell.
sell them. Yes, so it's not even like oh we can see no one likes this, and we're going to try and ditch it early. It's like and they love money clearly, so I honestly don't get it. But you know I don't run a well hundreds of millions of pounds worth of company so across the world. So who am I to say? Apart from that, their customer service is terrible. But going on with this, we have the Virkos dynasty. I should have just said the one that's half wolf, and that would have cleared all of this up right before we go into that. But we've got the strength of the pack is the wolf. Is that how the saying goes? I'm trying to think of the Game of Thrones saying now, but I can't remember it. The last series ruined it for me. But anyway, so
Yeah, I've not watched it since.
so just like get halfway through the last series, let's stop this. Don't you want to know how it ends? At this point, no. I'm going to let my imagination do a better job. But it says strength of the pack is the wolf. So add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Virkos Dynasty Death Rattle and Virkos Dynasty Deadwalker units while they are wholly within 9 inches of any friendly Virkos Dynasty vampire heroes. So that's not bad. That's pretty.
Yep.
I don't see what like the skeletons fit into the pack of the wolf mentality, but what I would
Dogs
say
like bones. Dogs like bones.
I can't argue. I can't argue with that. And the zombies, the marrow. But what I would say is, I presume they still got the same thing. You know, direwolves in Legion of the Nagash are dead walkers. So I presume they're dead walkers in this because it says dead walker units, not dead walker zombies. So I get it there. So the wolves are empowered. So that is that's pretty cool. Anyway, but then you've got the strength of the wolf is the pack. I don't think they had a lot of time to write this. So you can re-roll casting rolls for friendly Virkos Dynasty Vampire Wizards. That's great, but I don't know if they're going to be that great of a wizard now because that's a really strong ability.
Yeah.
But like we've got Warscrolls and stuff, whatever. But so we've got the command traits. Again, we don't have the artifacts of this, but we do have the command traits. So the first one is so it says Virkos Dynasty Generals only. So the pack alpha. So once per turn, this general can use the command ability without without command points being spent. I like that.
Yeah, it's in a few books. It's always useful, especially in the current iteration of AOS. Might not be as much in AOS 3, but for now it's pretty good.
Yeah, 100%. At the moment, command points are valued pretty high, so that's good. Well, like 50 points, you know, as you can easily say, can't you? So number 2 is driven by Death Stench. So you can reroll charge rolls for friendly Virkos Dynasty units wholly within 9 inches of this general. The reason I'm laughing is because like I was like, it's a copy and paste of the other one, but
3 inches less.
Yeah, not as generous here. So you know, I think just as a kick to Curse City there, like you know, literally kick the dog while it's down. But I'm thinking like maybe this is because your unit sizes are smaller in this sub-legion, so it won't really matter. No, it wants you to take skeletons and stuff, so no, bugger that. And then the next one is Kin of the Wolf. So once per battle at the end of your movement phase, you can say that this general will summon a pack of direwolves to the battlefield. If you do so, you can add 1 unit of up to 5 direwolves to your army, set up that unit wholly within 9 inches of this general and more than 9 inches away from all enemy units. So wholly within 9 inches of the general, 9 inches away from the enemy units. I like this. Not saying it's the best, but just bringing on a pack of 5 dogs. I mean, that's fun, right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Especially like late game, because those direwolves aren't slow.
But they also count as battle line. So that could be really good for grabbing objectives.
I don't know if summoned units gain that benefit though. I don't know, and that's not a conversation I want to get in right now because I don't know the answer to it, but I just remember being told by someone else.
Yeah.
But like I haven't read where it says they don't. So, but yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's cool. And then number 4, you've got Hunter's Snare. So if this general contests an objective, the number of models this general counts as is equal to the wounds characteristic.
That's very good.
Yeah, like that's do I want to read the rest? No, that's yeah, I like that. Yeah, like just something to note as well is because I don't know how the Warscrolls work currently. Like I said, I haven't read through them yet, but things like the Veerkos, they have a few named characters, so you may be encouraged to take the named characters as generals, maybe. So maybe these command traits won't be as used as much, but I do like the Hunter's Snare. That's great. And then the next one you've got is Spore Trackers. At the start of your hero phase, friendly Veerkos Dynasty Deadwalker units wholly within 9 inches of this general can make a normal move of up to 3 inches. They cannot run. If you're going big on zombies, that's good. And also, that means your dogs are moving an extra 3. So I can see that being useful. Like, I'm not even going to lie, like in Legion of Nagash at the moment, it's not even that bad of an idea to take a few heavy hitting units and then the rest of your army, like all 1,000 points, the rest of it just being direwolves, just to be in the way and just to be like loads of multiple small units. So that could be useful. And then number 6 is United by Blood. So this general can attempt to unbind one spell in the enemy hero phase in the same manner as a wizard. If this general is already a wizard, they can attempt to unbind one extra spell in the enemy hero phase.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I like Hunter's Snare.
Yeah, Hunter's Snare is the clear winner.
Yeah, like we were saying on the other one where it's like, oh, it doesn't really seem to be much of a clear winner. I think here there is. Which again, it'll be nice with it, like I was saying, if the other ones make it hard to make the choice. I do like Kin of the Wolf though. I think like that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's not.
With your favourite one with the zombie dragon, 14 wounds there.
Yeah.
So counts as 14. It's
well, yeah. I was gonna say like if you could do that and then you could steal the ability from the Castellet guys to like +1 to your wound, then it could be 50. But no, you can't. So the number of the wounds general counts as so. If there's more contested objective, the number of models the general counts is equal to the wounds characteristic. So it's not like you take 10 damage and then you only count as 4.
You think it's 4? Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's solid. And then like again, I don't know what the artifacts are, but there could be something like +1 to your save or make your -1 to hit, so it's just harder. It basically makes you into like a mini giant. So it's like those mega giants that are worth like what 30 models or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it's not even like, you put 25 damage into it, now it's only worth 5 models. No, until that thing is dead, it's worth 30. So
no, but I mean, isn't the ogre one only counts as 10 for the big creatures? With the ogre mod tribes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're already out. If you're in Zombie Dragon, you're already out doing them, which is nice.
That's funny. I do enjoy fighting Picard with his ogres now on the Discord and just go, right, yeah, so I'm worth more than you. And it's like, somehow you manage to do it, so you go, I've got a 2-up save for running one. But no, that's cool. Again, we don't have the second page for that though. So what I'm just going to say to you, Ben, at the moment, because obviously we're recording this all in one go. Obviously, I said it's probably going for an hour. Clearly, this video is going to go on for a lot longer than that. Now that we covered all the dynasty stuff, would you do you want to hop off or anything? Because obviously, this is going to be a bit of a long video. I can see this being, as it's taken an hour just to do that. Yeah, no worries, man. Well, I say thank you for joining, though. It's been good to hear your thoughts. And I always thought, like, again, I know, like, for me, like, the Warscroll stuff, can be more interesting because, it's this certain model you like and what does that model do. But I do think it's important to go over this dynasty because this is, when I look to build in a list for my army or looking to just build a collection for an army, I do look at the sub-allegiances as a way to guide me.
Yep, same. That's what I did with Beast of Chaos and Slash, so...
100%. And I think, again, we're missing half the rules for 2 of them, Legion of Night and the Veerkos ones, but there's not one that I've read where I go, 100% that's the best one. Like, again, in a month's time, you might go, clearly, actually, this one is a lot better than the rest. But at the moment, they all
seem to have the place.
Yeah, which is quite hard to do. Like I think one of the books I play already that does that pretty well is Ostrich Bone Reapers. They all have something interesting to add to the table, and it's great to read another book that does. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, Ben, I'm gonna let you crack on, but thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
And I'll catch you later in the Discord. Hopefully, you'll be fighting these guys sometime soon.
Hopefully.
All right then, Ben. Well, I'll catch you later, mate, and have a great rest of your day.
Yep.
Thanks, man. I'll see you later. Okay, so now that Ben is gone, I mean, like I said, thank you very much for Ben for joining us. But we are going to go over all of these Warscrolls. I understand this video is probably gone on for an hour now at least, but I do long videos, of course, and the one earlier today was really, really quick, which I'm not always the biggest fan of. So what we'll be doing is we'll go over the Warscrolls now, but we are literally just going to go over the Warscrolls in whatever order they come in, and clearly we've got some battalions here, which we'll look at the end. But we will just do the Warscrolls in wherever they come in. Which means, of course, starting with the one and only Manfred von Carstein. So, he has got... should we... I'll be honest, I'm not going to cross over how much points all this stuff costs because I'm just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So at the end, we'll do a tally at the points. And again, I'll give you like a better review of this when I actually have my hands on the book and it's easier to read through for a direct comparison. But so Manfred has got a move of 16 inches. He has got a 3+ save, a bravery 10, and 12 wounds. So like I quickly mentioned at the end of my first video earlier, thank fuck he has finally got a 3+ save and 12 wounds. Honestly, this guy, a Neferata, and Arcan as well, they die so easily for expensive point models, which it just always felt like I was always scared to put them in combat because they would just die before they got to heal or anything. But with a 3+ save and 12 wounds, before they get any other synergy buff, is great. So I'm really, really happy with that, firstly. And then going on to the melee weapons, we have the Geist Vor. So this is a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze the hit, freeze the wound, -1 rend, D3 damage. I think that's similar to what it is now. Now you've got a Sickle Glaive, which is 2-inch range, 2 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1, 2 damage. And then the Ebon Claws, which is 1-inch range, which is a starts at 6 attacks, force and freeze, -2, 2 damage. So that is the same. So that's the mount. Presumably Neferata's one will be the same as well. And then you've got the Special Claws and Daggers, which is a 1-inch range, 6 attacks, 5 and 4s, no rend, 1 damage, but presumably they get the Ghost ability, so only 6s to hit. They're like Frightful Touch, so it makes the enemy take 1 mortal wound instead. I can see Frightful Touch down here, so yeah, I'll do that. And then going on to the abilities, though. So it just says his mount, so a Sheegroth, blah, 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 and his companions, so the Ghost, that's fine. He can fly, of course. And then you've got the abilities, so you've got the hunger. So this, I can already see there's a D3 here, so I'm glad to see that this has changed for all the hunger, presumably for all the Warscrolls, not just the Blood Knights. So you've got at the end of the combat phase, if an enemy models were slain by wounds inflicted by the model's attacks in that phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to this model. So I'm just thinking, I think they also have the Feasterous Soul ability from before, as far as I remember. So basically, if a Sheegroth feasts on their souls, essentially, and it gets the heal 2 wounds, so they doesn't have that. So I think you may have traded healing 2 wounds for healing D3, which I don't think is a great trade. But the next one we have is the Armour of Templehof. So the first wound or mortal wound allocated to this model in each phase is negated. I believe that's exactly the same as what the Armour of Templehof does anyway at the moment. And then you've got the Sword of Unholy Power. So if any enemy models are slain by wounds inflicted by this model's Geist Vor until the end of that phase, add 1 to the attack characteristics of many weapons used by friendly Soulblight Gravelords Sunball units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this model. That has changed. It used to give you +1 to cast, I believe, in your following hero phase. So that has changed, and I know like getting plus to the cast is really good, and I'm not disputing that at all. And then it helped because when you successfully cast a spell, it then helped a Geist Vor as well, I believe. But I really am into synergy for helping the whole army, not just certain characters. So I do really like that to try and help other things because, I mean, it does mean Manfred has to fight first, but then again, you don't want Manfred to die. So if you are charging him into the fight, you might be attacking with him first anyway. So it's not really too much of a problem. And then you've got the Mortarch of the Knight. So at the start of the combat phase, if this model is within 3 inches of any enemy units, you can remove this model from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from any enemy units. So this is something that we've covered in the preview levels for Manfred the other day, and yeah, I think that's all right. That's fine. It could be really useful to get yourself out of a fight as well, because at the start of the combat phase you can use it to bugger off before the enemy will kill Manfred and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely like a escape out of jail sort of card. And then you've got Frightful Touch, which is said for the Ghost, to do the mortal wounds when you get 6 to hit. Then on the magic, so Manfred von Carson as a wizard, he can attempt to cast 2 spells in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 2 spells in the enemy hero phase. He knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Winds of Death spells. So Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield we know, and Winds of Death probably hasn't changed. So Winds of Death casting value is 7. If, what have I got here? Okay, that's fine. I'll just quit this so you guys won't hear any Discord notifications go off, because I know that can sometimes annoy. So go back on with this. Winds of Death, casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster and it's visible to them, and roll a dice for that unit and each other unit that is within 6 inches of that enemy unit. On a 3+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. No, I believe that's better, because I think the unit you picked suffered D3 mortal wounds. Enemy units within, again, probably 6 inches took 1 mortal wound, so I think that's better, but you have to roll the 3 up, so that might impact on the reliability of doing it, basically. But then when we go to, pardon me, the command abilities, you've got Vigour of Undeath, so you can use this command ability once per turn in your hero phase. If you do so, add 1 to the hit and wound rolls for friendly Soulblight Gravelords units wholly within 12 inches of this model until your next hero phase. I can't remember if you did this in the hero phase. It probably was. It might have been the combat phase, but I think it was the hero phase. Then Soulblight Gravelord models, so that's just changed from Illusion of Nagash. Only within 12, I believe it was as well. But I don't know if it's add 1 to hit and wound rolls. I might have been re-roll 1s to hit and wound. Again, you guys can let me know that. If it is add 1 and it used to be re-roll, then add 1 is better. And then for his keywords, he's got Soulblight Gravelords, Deathlords, Legion. It's funny how they still kept that Deathlords, that's from a long time ago. But Legion of Night, Monster, Hero, Wizard, Mortarch, and Manfred. Again, all these will be respectable compared to when you look to do synergy with Manfred. So that's fine. So Manfred is better than he was before. His points have maybe gone up as well to reflect it. But I look forward to using Manfred, as he is a model that I spend a lot of time building and painting and haven't really used much on the table because his rules were pretty shite in my opinion. So then you have Prince Vahordre. So he has a move of 14. He has a 3-up save, bravery 10, and 14 wounds. So that part has not changed at all. Going on to his melee weapons, he's got the Blood Lance, which is 2-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze, -2 damage. His snapping more, so this is 3-inch range, 3 attacks, force and freeze, -2 NT3 damage. Sword-like claws, 7 attacks, force and freeze, -1, 2 damage. So again, this might have changed when I read a little bit later and stuff and do some more comparison, but it's sad that his stats haven't changed since the Legion of Nagash Battletome. He hasn't even been given a new model. They could at least, I don't know, up to his rules a bit. So then going on to the description, there is a little bit here. So I'll just see if was there anything important in there. Okay, so I will read the description because there was something for Manfred. So the Manfred one, going back to him, it says, if this model is included in a Soulblight Gravelord army with the Legion of Night lineage keyword, this model is treated as being a general in addition to the model that you choose to be the army general. Okay, that's fantastic because usually, well, I say usually, when it was on Legion of Night and Legion of Nagash, what it actually meant is he has to be the general. Oh, but I want to take someone else so I can use the command trait, but I also want to take Manfred. No, you take Manfred, he has to be the general. You want to take any of the Mortarchs, you have to take Manfred first as well. And then you can take the other ones. Then Manfred has to be the general. So it was really restricted. It wasn't just for Manfred, it was the same for Neferata, Arcan, and then if Nagash was in the army as well. That is a lot better. I much prefer that. So yeah, that's cool. And then presumably same thing here for Prince Vahordre, but it's for Castellet. Yep, so that's great because also some of their command abilities are dependent if they are the general. Like, does it say what's put on here? Okay, it doesn't say that for Manfred, but sometimes they have to be the general to do it. So it's good that they are treated as being the general. So Prince of Hordre can fly, of course, and then you have the abilities to hunger. So if he slays enemy wound, so at the end of the combat phase, and enemy models was okay. So it has to be enemy models were slain by wounds inflicted by this model's attack. So it can be from the mount. You heal the D3. Simple as before. So then the Chalice of Blood. So once per battle in your hero phase, you can heal up to D6 wounds allocated to this model. So that hasn't changed. Then the Blood Lance charge, so add 2 to the damage characteristic of this model's Blood Lance and improve the rend characteristic of that weapon by 1 if this model made a charge move in the same turn. So I believe that's changed, to be fair. When I said, oh, it's a shame they made his attacks and stuff better, I believe that's changed. I think you only +1 damage to it. I think it might have been +2. Didn't really use Prince of Hordre too much, but I think it was only +1. So yeah, at least they've made it a bit better there, as far as I remember. And then you've got the Breath of Shaiish. So in your shooting phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 9 inches of this model that's visible to them and roll a dice on a 3+ that unit. Suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the Breath of Shaiish value shown on the model's damage table. So it would take D6 mortal wounds, which is a shame because I think it used to be a flat 6. Or even if it was D6, if you slayed an enemy, I think if you slayed an enemy model or maybe an enemy unit took wounds, probably if you slayed an enemy model, it was empowered. So your Breath of Shaiish went off with a +1 to it, so it went off on a 2. So it has got worse compared to before. But then you've got the magic, so it might have only been a 6-inch range though, so it might be a bit of a trade-off here. And then you've got magic, so Prince of Hordre is a wizard. You can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. He knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Quicksand spells. I mean, this guy's going to be over 400 points. Why not just give him the ability to cast 2 spells? So you've got Quick Blood, so Quick Blood casting value 7 is successfully cast. Add 1 to the hit and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by the caster until your next hero phase. So that's really good. I've used that a lot because also that does affect your mount. So he is hitting and wounding on 2s for his lance, hitting on 3s for the maw, wounding on 2s, and then hitting on 3s for Soulblight Claws, wounding on 2s. It's really, really good. Especially you can get rerolls and stuff to it as well. Then you've got the command ability, so you've got the Fist of Nagash, so you can use this command ability once per turn in your hero phase. If you do so, pick one other friendly Soulblight Gravelord hero that is wholly within 12 inches of this model and within 3 inches of any enemy units that hero can fight. So again, put that on Manfred, Neferata. The biggest thing that I used Prince of Hordre for is like tagging him with a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, and he just made the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon party attack in the hero phase, which was pretty big. So yeah, just got to keep an eye on the range and that, but it's on quite a big base, so that's pretty big. So that hasn't changed as far as I remember. And then his keywords are Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelords, Castellet Dynasty. So he has got that keyword, of course. Zombie Dragon, Monster, Hero, Wizard, Prince for Hordre. And then we have got again some battalions here, but we'll look at that at the end. We'll stick at the Warscrolls. And then we've got Prince Jacq.l, I believe his name is. So this is from the Underworld Warcry. Let me get that right. It's not Warcry, it's not Underground, it's Underworld Warband. So he has got a 6-inch move, he's got a 3+ save, he's got Bravery 10, he's got 5 wounds, so 3+ save is nice there compared to like a normal Vampire Lord. So he is he's got the hunger, so he can heal those D3 wounds by the looks of things. A little bit curved that paper, but it should be the same as the last one if he kills an enemy model basically at the end of the combat phase. The magic, so Prince Jacq.l is a wizard. He can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. He knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Fiendish Lure spells. So Fiendish Lure casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 6 inches of the caster and is visible to them. Add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks that... Sorry. I'll read that again. So Fiendish Lure at casting value of 5. If you successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 6 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks that target that unit until your next hero phase. Yeah, I like that. So that's not bad at all because so it doesn't even have to be from him. So it's just going to benefit the rest of your army. So yeah, I really like that. An extra +1 to hit. It's going to be useful, especially like in a combat oriented army. So then you've got the Crimson Court. So these are his lackeys. So he clearly is the hero, and then these are the lackeys. So you've got a 6-inch move for them, a 4+ save for them, 1 wound each, and 10 bravery. It's a shame they're only 1 wound. Like, they're all vampires, aren't they? It's weird they're only 1 wound each, but it says so you've got 3 melee weapons. So you've got the Soulbound Mace. So this is a 2-inch range, 2 attacks. Oh, pardon me. 3's to hit, 2's to wound, no rend, D3 damage, not bad. And then you got the Paired Blades, this is 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 damage. And then the Honed Bludgeon, so this is 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, 1 damage. So that's clearly by the guy with the wings. So I will read the description because it is a little bit different, to be fair. So it says the Crimson Court is a named unit that has 3 models. Gorfa, the Enforcer, is armed with a soul-bound mace. Velas von Thane is armed with a paired blades, and then Enas Curseborn is armed with a honed bludgeon. So it says Gorf the Enforcer, add 2 to Gorf's wounds count. Okay, so yeah, he's got 3 wounds, so that's better. It's a shame that, you know, the one with wings can't fly. I understand they've got to be in coherency and there are unit stuff, but he could still fly for like little obstacles and stuff would be good. But anyway, so they've got the hunger, so they're healing those D3 wounds, which is good, but that's only going to be useful for keeping Gorf the Enforcer alive, because obviously the other ones will just die, because you can't heal models back to the unit instead of wounds by the looks of things. And then you've got the Vampiric Agility, so when this unit makes a move, it can pass across terrain features in the same manner as the model that can fly. Okay, so they just took the words out of my mouth when I was saying that ability. That's great then that they've got it. You've got Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelords, and the Crimson Court. And the interesting thing about reading all these Warscrolls, like I said, I haven't checked the points, so I can just say it's all great until I read the points of this stuff. But no, he does seem useful, because these Warcry warbands are either fit into 2 camps, nice and can be useful, and then shit. And this guy actually seems to be definitely useful, so I'm glad he fell into that camp, because it's a beautiful model set this that you're going to want to buy anyway. So it's nice that it has got a double purpose. Oh, so now we get on to the Mother of Nightmares, which is a controversial model, which a lot of you people don't like, but I absolutely love it. So I am interested to see if I'm going to be desperate to buy this model, despite without having the... Oh, it's 11 wounds. That's a shame. Like, straight away. It hasn't got a damage table, like things, but like, oh, would have loved the 12 wounds. But anyway, nitpicking because it's got a 3-up save. So that is good. So it's got a 12-inch move, 3+ save, and bravery 10 and 11 wounds. Oh, we've been recording for a long time, guys. It's late. But then it says the description. So, Laukar Vey is a named character that is a single model. She is armed with the Askurga. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that because it's just going to sound... I want to say rapier, but is that right? It just sounds dodgy. And then you've got the gore-drenched talons and impaling tail. So if this model is included in the Soulblight Gravelords army with the Avangori dynasty lineage keyword, this model is treated as a general in addition to other models. But whoever you pick as a general, she's also treated as a general, like we've seen before the other ones. But for the Avangori dynasty. So it also says that Lukave can fly. And then for her... Okay, so this actually goes to the attacks and stuff first. So it says, Askurgag, the rapier, whatever it is. So this is a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, 2 damage. And then you've got the Gore Drenched Challenge, which is 3-inch range, 3 attacks, 4 to the hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, D6 damage. And then you've got the Impaling Tail, which is 1-inch range, D6 attacks, 4 to the hit, 4 to wound, no rend, 1 damage. It's not much of an impaling tail then, is there? It doesn't have any rend. It doesn't really scream impaling to me. Yeah, it's alright. It's quite swingy because you've got those D6 damage, but the first attack is more reliable. Yeah, it's alright. It's not like she's not a combat beast, but she is capable of doing quite a lot of damage. So going on to the abilities, you got the Champions of Avangori. So after this model makes a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this model and roll a number of dice equal to the charge roll for that charge for each 5 that enemy unit subspawned. Okay, so we've seen this before. It's good if it's free on a war scroll, but I wouldn't take it as like the command trait of the artifact, whatever it was before. So yeah, it's not a bad ability. Like I said, my chariot for Slays Darkness did a lot of mortal wounds on the impact when I went into those salamanders. So you've got the next one, which is Nightmare Mitrage. So while an enemy unit is within 3 inches of any friendly models with this ability, worsen the range characteristic of that unit's melee weapons by 1 to a minimum of dash. So that is very good. I like that. It's a great ability. And then you've got Undeniable Impulse, Undeniable Impulse, yeah, that's right. At the start of your hero phase, roll a dice for this model. If the roll is equal to or less than the number of current battle rounds until your next hero phase, that model can run and still charge later in the same turn. However, this model cannot use command abilities until your next... Oh, that's annoying. I was looking at that, I was like, that's great. So later on in the game, where you really need to make your charges, it's going to help you. Well, just really need to get moving around the battlefield. But then it's just like a negative on, and I get it, and that's where the law's coming in. I did say I would like the law to come in onto the rules of this army, so I can't really be hypocritical and say, oh, I don't know about that. So I get it, but I just hope that command ability is not useful at this point for that. But obviously, I hope it's good. And it's got hunger, so it can heal the D3 if it kills an enemy model. The magic, so Luca Veil, Lauka Vey, as it is pronounced, I believe, is a wizard. She can attempt to cast one spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind one spell in the enemy hero phase. She knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Death's Downpour spell. Why can she only cast one and unbind one? That's a shame, because it's probably going to be expensive in points. So then you got Death's Downpour. So this is casting value of 8. If successfully cast, charge rolls made for enemy units within 6 inches of this model are halved until your next hero phase. Okay, that's really good. I really like that spell. I can see why it's got a high cast value. Just hope there's ways to help it get multiple ways to cast to try and get that off. Otherwise, you're wasting your one cast with this, but it is a good spell. And the command ability, which is a queen amongst monsters. So you can use this command ability once per turn in your hero phase. If you do so, pick one enemy unit on the battlefield until your next hero phase. Add one to the hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons used by friendly Soulblight Gravelords monsters that target that enemy unit. So that's a good ability. So I don't think you're going to need that ability too much when it comes to the later battle rounds when you want to get Undeniable Impulse off and you're more likely to get it. So it hopefully won't affect you too much, but obviously it'll affect her being able to run a flat 6 and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully the double-edged sword there is good in your favour, basically, with her. And then her keywords, so Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelord, Avangori Dynasty, Monster, Hero, Wizard, and Lauka Vey. Like I said, I think it's pronounced. So the Mother of Nightmares, what are my thoughts? As someone who liked this model when I went into it, like I said, she's not... she's good. She's not incredible or like, oh, I'm so glad that she's like a must-take in the... she's an auto-include in the army because I really like the model. I want to get it. I'm really happy that she works really well. She's not an auto-include from what I can see here, but she's not bad. So depending on points, again, like everything depends on points. There's no point me giving you evaluation for until I see those points. But yeah, she's not bad. Going on to so a good comparison here. Oh, because we've got the Vengorian Lord, which is the normal version of her. So 2-inch move, 3+ save for every 10 and 10 wounds, so 1 less wound. Yep. It hasn't got a damage table, like I say, so that is a good thing, especially for something like 11 wins without a damage table is unusual. And then you got the description, so Vengori Lord is a single model armed with a Nightmare Sabe, Gore-drenched talons, and impaling tail, so this model can fly as well. So the Nightmare Sabe is a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 damage, 2 damage, -1 rend, 2 damage. Is that the same as... No. Is it? 4 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1, 2. 4 attacks, freeze... Fuck, why not just get a... Why is that no better than the normal buff? And then they wonder why people don't take the characters, because you just give this guy an artifact and he's much better and probably cheaper in points. But let's read the rest of it before I just have a go, shall we? So then it's got the Gore-drenched talons, so this is a 3-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 rend, d6 damage are the same, and then the impaling talons the same. So going on to the abilities, so Nightmare Massage, so -1 from the enemy rend if they're within 3 inches of it. Then it's got the Undeniable Impulse, so it can't do the command ability, but if you roll less than the battle round, it can run and still charge, wherever it was, forgotten. It's got the Hunger, so that's the same. A lot of these abilities are exactly the same, so I'm really struggling to see why you take them over in Nightmares. But the magic is where it might be different, because there's a different spell. So you can cast one spell and bind one spell, because it's fucking boring. It's got the Clotted Deluge, so has a casting value of 6 of successfully cast. Pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster and it's visible to them. Add one to the wound rolls for attacks made with that melee weapon that target that unit until your next hero phase. So if you ask me, would I rather that spell or the Mother of Nightmare spell? rather than Mother of Nightmare spell effects to make the enemy half their charges, because that is really, really good. But because they're casting an 8, I would rather this one, because giving yourself add 1 to your wounds is very useful. Again, against a certain unit, but still useful. And then you got the command ability, so Feastering. Is that Festering Feast? There we go. You can use his command ability at the end of the combat phase if any attacks made by friendly Soulblight Gravelord units in that phase destroyed enemy units. If you do so, you can heal up to D6 wounds allocated to that Soulblight Gravelord's unit. The same unit cannot benefit from this command more than once per phase. So if attacks made by Soulblight friendly, heal up to D6 wounds allocated to. Okay, so you heal the unit that did the damage it feasted them. So bear in mind, you in a Avangori army or whatever it's called, you're taking a lot of monsters, so things with a lot of wounds. That's going to be useful. So I like that. What was the Mother of Nightmare one? You can use command me once per turn. I don't want to hit rolls for Soulblight Gravelord. I prefer this one. Like, if the presuming she's more points, I prefer this one because you can also give it a command tray and artifact. So it's got Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelord, Monster, Hero, Wizard, and Vengar lot. So that's sad because I really liked her. So they've made the same mistakes by making the name characters just not worth it. But again, let's read everything else and see before I make my final opinion. So you've got the Vampire Lord, or depending on how you paint it, is its gender, I believe. Someone pointed out with the bats and the hair. So this is a 6-inch movement, 3+ save, bravery 10, and 5 wounds. So the 3+ save is better than it used to be, because it used to be a 4+ save. This model can fly, so it's lost the ability to take the Nightmare Steed. So I don't know what I'm going to do with my one with the Nightmare Steed. It can fly, which is good, but when it could fly before, it could move, I believe, 12 inches, so now it only moves 6. So really trying to struggle to see how that 3+ save is defending all of this. But then on to the melee weapon. So it's got the Soulbound Blades, which used to be called Spirit Possessed Blade. 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 D3 damage. Hasn't changed apart from the name. The abilities, the Hunger has got better, so that's good. We like that. The magic, so it still doesn't have its own unique spell, which is sad and lazy. And then, but it can pick one from the lore. I get it, but it should have its own one as well. It's a bloody vampire and a vampire lord at that. And then the command ability, so you've got the Crimson Feast. So you can use this command ability in the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Soulblight Gravelord Sunball unit, wholly within 12 inches of this model, add 1 to the attack characteristics of that unit's melee weapons until your next hero phase. The same unit cannot benefit from this command ability once per phase. So I think there might have just been use command ability. I think it might have just add 1 to until your next hero phase. So I think it might have just been useful just for the combat phase from before. Can't exactly remember. Like it might not continue to your next hero phase, but it's got worse because it was for a deaf unit, and now it has to be number 1 Gravelords Sunball. So, and because there's not a comma there, it says like Gravelords and then separately Sunball. Nighthorn players, sorry, you lost your Vampire Lord by the looks of things. Depending if they're going to make all the Legion of Nagash stuff, like basically in the bin now, in terms of what are allowed to be used in the rules. And I can't use it on my Morgasts, Harbingers or whatever, or I don't know, Terror guys, whatever I want to use it on. It's got to be Sunball. Okay, so she's got worse. He, whatever. The Vampire Lord has got worse. So that's sad. Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelords, Hero, Wizard, Vampire Lord. And then the Bloodseeker Paladin, which is something I've never used. So let's have a look. So I won't be able to do too much of a direct comparison to see worse, better, but we'll see. So 14-inch movement, 4+ save, bravery 10, 12 wounds. I'm guessing it had something like that before. It's got for its description a Bloodseeker Paladin is a single model, ridden by a Sangarach armed with a Bloodletting blade, and then the mount. So, pardon me, this model's special host attacks with a Wailing, blah blah blah. The ghosts are the mount for these purposes, and it can fly. The Whale, the Damned. So I'm going to go straight down to it as well. Basically, has a range of 12, but gets worse. So do not use the attack sequence made for the Whale of the Damned. Instead, roll a dice for each enemy unit within range of this model. Whale of the Damned on a 4+, that unit suffers D4 mortal wounds. That's not bad. Is it wholly within range or No, okay, yeah, so that's simple. So yeah, I like that's not bad. Then 4+, but it's a big range on the thing. It's got a fairly big base. And then the ability, so it's got a fine. Sorry, let's do the attacks first, like I normally do. So the Bloodletting Blade, it's got a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 d3 damage, and then the Spectral Claws. Oh no, it starts with 12 attacks. To be fair, it's not bad. 5s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. You're fishing for 6s to do the mortal wounds and the frightful touch. So again, this is like a support piece. This character, this hero, this big thing, throne, whatever you want to call it. So you've got a fine vintage. So if a enemy hero is slain within 9 inches of this model, add 1 to the attack characteristics of many weapons used by friendly vampire units wholly within 12 inches of this model until your next hero phase. So again, wholly within 12 inches, blah blah blah. Vampire, you have a lot of vampire units in your army, or I should say you could have a lot of vampire units in your army, so it could be useful, but it has to be an enemy hero that's slain. So that's the only trick of it. But if it was... again, sorry guys, it's late. If it was an enemy model, just in general, then it would be too good. But I just think if an enemy unit slain is that middle ground without this being like, oh, it has to be a hero. So I'm not taking this thing just on the off chance. And then the last thing you've got is magic. So this model is a wizard. It can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. It knows the Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield Blood Siphon spells. So the Blood Siphon. So Blood Siphon has casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy hero within 12 inches of the caster and is visible to it, and roll a dice. On a 1 to 2, that target suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 3 to 4, it suffers D3. And on 5 to 6, it suffers D6. That's quite good. A chance, a third of a chance of doing D6 mortal wounds to your opponent. But yeah, it's not enough. Like again, looking at the points of this thing, we'll see. But the fine vintage ability is it's not guaranteed enough to go off, and it's only until your next hero phase. It's not for the rest of the battle. And then the Blood Siphon is good, but like it's only even if you get the D6, you might roll a bloody 1 or 2, obviously. So yeah, it's not great. Then it's got keywords of death, vampire, malignant, Soulblight Gravelords, hero, wizard, and Bloodseeker Palanquin. Just in case you're wondering, this is the kit bash version they came up with Warscroll for. Not against that. I think it's cool to have more Warscrolls, but basically Mortis, Engine, Covenant Throne, put into one is how you make this. They brought out with the Legions of Nagash, but then we've got the Covenant Throne, so we can directly compare it to another unit you can make out of this. So this has got a movement of 14, 4+8, bravery 10, 12 wounds. So I believe that hasn't changed from the last one. So it says description of Covenant Throne is a single model ridden by a vampire lady armed with a predatory bite and stiletto. So it's a mount. So this model, special claws, ghosts, companions, other vampire ladies treated like a mount. And is it so? This model is accompanied by handmaidens who attack with their needle sharp. Okay, yeah. So just to see, because it is a hero, it is useful to know that in case you want to try and buff this, like to make the most out of all its attacks with a certain buff to its attacks where a command trait won't benefit them. But it can fly. So it's got the predatory bites. This is 1-inch range. 1 attack, freeze and freeze, no rend, D3 damage. Stilettos, 4 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1. And then the needle sharp pinion. So this is 8 attacks, freeze and freeze, no rend, 1 damage. And then the special claws, 12 attacks, same as before. So you're not taking this for its combat abilities, that's what I'm going to say. And then its abilities, so it gets the hunger, it has frightful touch, and it's got the ciphering pool, so this is different. So it says once per turn, you can reroll hit rolls, you can reroll 1s to hit, or 1s to wound for attacks made by this model, or 1s to save for attacks that target this model. So, like I said, it's got a lot of attacks, so maybe the reroll 1s would be useful, but for me, I'm just not interested. Bored, not using this to do damage, blah blah blah, don't care. The magic, so this model is a wizard attempt to cast 1 spell, like most things in this army, in your hero phase, and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. It knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Shudder spells. So Shudder has a casting value of 6. It successfully casts pick 1 enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them, and roll 3d6. If the roll is greater than that unit's bravery characteristic, so it's not unmodified bravery, just bravery. So they're buffs they get for having a banner or whatever, but your debuffs in your army, which like we've already talked about in this video, could be quite a few, will impact this roll. So anyway, if it's greater than that bravery characteristic, This model cannot be picked to be the target of any attacks made or spells or cast abilities used by that unit until the next. Okay, so basically you debuff one enemy unit, what could be good, but you're only debuffing it to not attack this. And the tactic you use that for then is you use this model to bog it down. So you've bogged it down, it can't kill you, and it's stuck in combat with you. So if it wants to try and retreat, and if it can't retreat and charge, it's going to have to spend a turn wasted retreating to just get out of this mess. So basically this unit is used to bog things down. And then the command ability, so tactical insight, so you can use this command ability at the start of your hero phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Soulblight Gravelords unit wholly within 12 inches of this model until your next hero phase. Add one to the hit rolls, wound rolls for attacks made by that unit, and add one to the save rolls for attacks that target the unit. The same unit cannot benefit from this command more than once per phase. So that's really good. So I'm reading all this and like blah blah blah. Don't like it. It's got a purpose, but don't want to waste the points. And then the command ability is useful. So I would take this for the command ability, but I'm pretty sure that's a big point sink. Again, I haven't really used much Coven Thrones or Bloodseeker Palanquin, so if you guys got your thoughts on that and you think I'm completely wrong, let me know down below, but let me know why I'm wrong, not just say I'm wrong, because there's nothing to be gained from that. So the keywords is Death, Vampire, Malignant, Soulblight Gravelords, Hero, Wizard, and Coven Throne. So then we go on to the Mortis engine. These things are in order, so it's easy to compare them. Now I like the Mortis engine because it was a lot cheaper than the Coven Throne and the Bloodseeker Palanquin, and I felt like it had more use. So it's got a 14-inch movement, 4+ save, bravery 10, 12 wounds, so that's the same. So the description, blah blah blah, it's mount, spirits, it can fly. And then the missile weapons, so it's got the Whale Dam, is that the same as what it was before? Yes, Whale Dam, same as Bloodseeker Palanquin, I'm not repeating that. And then you've got the Frightful Touch, it's the same. But the melee weapons, you've got the Mortar Staff, which are 1 range, 2 attacks, force raise, -1, d3 damage, like a wizard attack basically, ×2. Then you've got the Spectral Claws and Blades, so this is 12 attacks, same as what it is for the other two. But I never was expecting this to be used for its combat potential, so that's fine. But you could maybe do some damage if it's bogged into things like the other two. But why I like it, so you've got the Reliquary. So once per battle in your hero phase, you can say that this model will unleash the energies of its Reliquary. If you do so, roll a dice for each unit within, so not enemy and stuff, within 12 inches of this model, and on a 2+, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. Deaf units are not affected by this ability. So double-edged sword, so it's not going to affect you guys at all because you're deaf, unless you've got some weird mercenaries in your army. But it will affect the enemy unit as long as they're not deaf. So something to bear in mind there, go against deaf army, not really much point doing this. But on a 2+, it's d3 mortal wounds, so it can be quite a big bit of damage potential, is what I like. It's cheaper than the other two, and I feel like it's got not bad mortal wound output. Again, like once per battle for that, but you've got the Whale of the Damned as well, haven't you? But then you've got Bound by Necromancy, so add 1 to the casting roll for friendly Soulblight Gravelord wizards, wholly within 12 inches of any friendly models with this ability. Okay, I think this is going to ruin what I was going to say why I like the Mortis engine. Basically, I took the Mortis engine, used to be, I think, friendly, deaf wizards within 18 inches of it, got +1 to cast, firstly, and then I used to take a corpse cart that had the same thing with the Unholy Lodestone, so with the bell on it, to do the same thing. So by taking this and the corpse cart, I could give my wizards +2 to their casting. But it sounds like that sort of thing has changed, because when it says with anything with this ability, I think that's probably what they changed the name to the one on the corpse cart. So that means my corpse cart's no longer going to work. My Flesh Eater Court army, hopefully I'm wrong on that, but that's what it could be. And just the other thing, so it's like you want to take this in a Nighthorn army, yeah. Your stuff's not sold by Gravelords, so you won't benefit from that at all, despite getting this in the start collecting box for the Nighthorn. And then going into the keywords, it's got Deaf, Malignant, Soulblight Gravelords, Deaf Mages, and Mortis Engine Ore. So the thing I liked most about it has changed, so I'm a bit unsure about this. Wait until I see the points. Then the corpse cart goes straight towards this. No, so that's on Holy Loads. Okay, so no, that's great. So should I just scroll down a little bit before I mode a little bit there, because the you can stack it, so you still tend to get the +2 to cast, and so I like this. So the corpse cart with Unholy Lodestone. So basically, zombies are a mount that pull this thing. It's got a 4-inch move, 6+ save, bravery 10, 6 wounds. I think that's changed. I mean, it's got melee attacks, but they're not worth reading. You don't want this in combat. And then the Unholy Lodestone. So this is add 1 to casting rolls for friendly Soulblight Gravelord wizards wholly within 12 inches of any friendly models with this ability. Yep, so I really like that, but it used to be within 18. So The ability here and the ability on the Mortis engine have just fucking got worse. Like, there's no way going around it, because I used to buff any Death Wizards as well, so can't take this in my Flesh Eater Court army anymore to help out my Flesh Eater Court Wizards. So that really annoys me, because that was a list I really enjoyed running, so that's a shame. And then you've got the Locus of Undeath, so add 1 to the save rolls for attacks that target friendly Deadwalker zombies, units wholly within 12 inches of any friendly models with this ability. I think that was just Deadwalker units, so I think it helped out your what are they called, direwolves as well. But I might be wrong on that, but I think it did help out with Deadwalker units, so that's a shame if it has, but I might be wrong on that. But add 1 to the save rolls, which is useful because your saves and your zombies are not going to be good. I think they've got a 6 save. So then you have the 4-inch movement for basically it's exactly the same. So what's the difference? Subtract 1 from the casting roll of enemy wizards within 18 inches of any models with this ability. Cool, just something to bear in mind there. And then so you make the enemy -1 to cast. But I always preferred giving myself +1 to cast, because it used to be the same range, which unfortunately isn't anymore. So it might make a difference, but I'm not too sure. And then the next one you've got for its ability is Malefic Fume. So subtract 1 from wound drops or attacks made with melee weapons used by units while they are within 6 inches, while they were 9 inches of any friendly models with this ability. I like that. So really, if you're not going loads on the zombies and you're just using this as a support piece, like the one with the bloody fire in it might be better now. Like, there's a closer type, which again, like what I was saying earlier, things aren't so auto-include in this army where you just get, oh, I feel if I'm not taking the one with the lodestone, I'm doing it wrong. And I really like the one with the fire, but I can't take it because it's worse. Now it's giving you a bit of freedom to do what you like, but I really did like the corpse cart with the unholy lodestone, so I am a bit sad about that. And then the keywords: Death, Soulblight Gravelords, Deadwalkers, Corpse Cart with Belfar Brazier. Then you got the Necromancer. So this is a staple in Legion of Nagash. So it's got 5-inch move, 6 for save, bravery 10, and 5 wounds. It's a single model one with the staff. So the mortar staff, 2-inch, also 1-inch range, 2 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 D for damage. Oh, that is an improvement to its stats, because it used to be 1 attack and force and freeze, -1 D3 damage. Is this the start of wizards getting better attacks like your standard basic wizard? That's cool. So this guy's a little bit of a beast in combat from what he used to be. And then the ability, so under minions. So roll a dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model if it is within 3 inches of any friendly Soulblight Gravelords summonable units. On a 3+, that wound or mortal wound is allocated to one of those units instead of this. So that's pretty similar, may change a little bit, but pretty similar to what it was before. So it's good to keep them alive, keep in the middle of your big blocks of zombies and skeletons and stuff, basically. And then you've got the magic. So this model is a wizard in an attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase. Fair enough, it's a small wizard. It's not Prince of Hordra and a massive fucking zombie dragon. So it knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Van Hell's Dance Macabre. So Van Hell's Dance Macabre has always been an important spell to death players. So let's see how much it has changed. So casting base 6, I think that's the same. It successfully cast pick 1 friendly Soulblight Gravelord summonable unit wholly within 18 inches of this caster until your next hero phase. If that unit has 4 only once in the combat phase, when it is your turn to pick a unit to fight, that unit can be picked to fight for a second time if it is within 3 inches of an enemy unit. So where it's changed there, it's just Soulblight Gravelord, so it's not going to help out your Nighthaunt. If you found a way to get him in, or if you went probably like Legions of Grief to do it or something, it has to be Soulblight Gravelord. So inherently has got worse. But going on to the keywords: Death, Soulblight Gravelords, Death, Mages, Hero, Wizard, and Necromancer. Then going on to the Deadwalker Zombies. So 4-inch. I'm confused with the save of a dash, because it says you can get +1 to save from the corpse cart, which I don't think that would turn out to a 6. I don't think that adds up right, but you know, we'll see what the rest of the stuff says. So 4-inch move, no save, bravery 10 and 1 wound. So this has got the crude weapons and infectious bite. So 1-inch range, 1 attack, fires and fires, no rend, and 1 damage. And then you've got drag down and torn apart. So this unit is eligible to fight in the combat phase if it is within 6 inches of an enemy unit instead of 3 inches, and it can move an extra 3 inches when it passes in. That's a really nice ability, which I didn't expect from a very slow walking unit. So that really helps with its movement, because now you look at this in the current edition of Age of Sigmar and it moves 4, right? You make it run, and you make it run 6 by spending the command point, forward to victory, wherever it's called, or at the double, I can't remember. And what you do is now it's moved 10. and then a compiling if it's within 6 inches. So now that means that for it to be within 6, basically, if the enemy unit is 15 inches away from this unit at the start of the turn, it can get into combat with them, which is good for zombies, before you stack any other buffs and stuff on them. So that's a great ability, and it's not seen a lot, that within 6 compiling attack, so that's great that they've got it. And then you've got the newly dead, so if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by this unit is a 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. In addition, at the end, so if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made is a 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence. Okay, so they only got 1 attack each, and they come, as we learned earlier, in units of 40 now, not units of 60. So it's still a lot of attacks if you get in range, and you've got a lot of piling, so hopefully a lot of dice to be rolled. 1 mortal wound you roll, 6s to hit on the target and the attack sequence ends. In addition, at the end of the combat phase, you can roll a dice for each enemy model that was slain by wounds inflicted by this unit. Its attacks in that phase. For each 2+, you can add 1 Dead Walker zombie model to this unit. Now, again, don't want to waste much time, but I do just want to compare that to its last rolling, because I think that's got a hell of a lot better, like that sort of ability to try and generate more zombies, because that's at the end of the day what zombies are all about, right? You know, the infectious bite, as it is so named. If I can find it quickly, again going off subject here. They haven't put it next to the bloody dire walls, have they? Sorry about this, a little bit off subject, but if you're still watching at this point, then you're in for the long ride anyway, so that's not bad. So basically, yeah, so you rolled a 6 before, and now you rolled a 2. So that has got fucking better, which is nice. But they had a save of a dash as well last time, and if they're in range of corp cart, they got to add 1. So it must turn a dash to a 6. It must do that. That seems a bit weird for me. I haven't really came across that much, but that seems how it's been working for ages, so that's fair. Maybe it'd be FAQ just to explain it. Then you've got Death, Soulblight Gravelords, Dead Walker Zombies, Dead Walkers, Dead Walker Zombies. So just to say here as well, is I put the bit away, so I can't remember exactly what I said, but I remember though when you had bigger blocks of zombies, you got so many pluses to hit and so many pluses to wound that you actually turned this unit to hitting and wounding on really good characteristics. You don't have that now, so unless you've got other synergies and stuff in the army. So that's sad. So this unit, but it's gained the mortal wound potential. So this army isn't doing too bad with mortal wound output. So it plays a different role, is what I'd say, as what it was before. Okay, and then going on to the next unit, which is a zombie dragon. So staying on the zombie theme, just upgrading them just a little. It's got a 4-inch movement, a 4+ save, bravery 10, and 14 wins. So that's the same, I believe. I think. Description: so it fights, blah blah, it can fly. That's all we need to know. It's got its pestilence breaths, 9-inch range, 1 attack, freeze, and 2s to start with. Yeah, that hasn't changed. -3 ren, d6 damage. So that's good. Snapping more, 3-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -2 d3 damage. Pardon me. And then the sword-like talons. So 7 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. And then the abilities, pestilent breath. So basically, I could explain it, but it's just quick to read it. When you attack with this model's pestilence breath, roll a dice before making the hit roll for an attack. If the roll is less than or equal to the number of models in that target unit, the attack scores a hit without needing to make a hit roll. I'm just reading that again. Okay, so I think it used to be you can roll a dice, but no, you have to, or it might have always been like that. So if you go against what happens, you'll go against an enemy unit that has 1 model because it's a monster, and you'll roll a dice, and you'll roll a 3 first, then you get, it's not equal or under. So I'm going to have to roll to hit you now, and then you'll roll 1 to hit. But that's exactly how that will go. But no, it's good, because when you go against hordes, you're not hitting. And when I say hordes, I mean just anything above, 6 models, basically, or 6 or above, basically. And then you're not hitting, and then you're just winning on 2s, and then that horde is probably not going to get a save against a -3 rend. So it is a good ability there, and that's all there is really to say about this. It stayed the same as far as I'm aware. So then going on to the Terrorgeist. So it's got, again, a 14-inch move, 4+ save, bravery 10, 14 wounds. It's got a death streak, 10-inch range, 1 attack, So basically, you pick an enemy unit within 10 inches. I'm not reading that, I just presume it's the same. You pick an enemy unit within 10 inches, you roll a dice, add the 6 to it. The difference between that and the enemy unit's bravery, it suffers that many mortal wounds. Going on to the Fanged Maw, 3-inch range, 3 attacks, force and freeze, master end, D3 damage. But it's got the Gaping Maw, so any 6s to hit are 6 mortal wounds instead of normal damage. The attack sequence ends, and that's why Terrorisis is so good. You don't get Feeding Frenzy and stuff, especially because they're not as good, but hopefully they're cheaper in points and stuff to reflect that. But that is a nice way to get some mortal wounding output into your army again. And then you've got the Skeletal Claw, so 2-inch range, start with 4 attacks, force and freeze, minus 1 D3 damage. Yes, that hasn't changed either. Infested, that hasn't changed. If this model was slain before the model is removed from play, each unit, friend or foe, basically, within 3 inches of this model, suffer D3 mortal wounds. Yeah, that hasn't changed. The White King, had they made the White King any good? Please, God, make it good. Right, so 4-inch move, 3+ save. Don't know why that moved down. 4-inch move, 3+ save, bravery 10, 5 wounds. A White King is a single model armed with a baleful tomb blade. So the name of the weapon stayed the same. Please have got better. Honestly, I have not read the attack history, so please. So baleful blade, 1-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze, minus 1, D4 damage. I think that's got better. That's got better. Happy days. Think it's got better. So that's good. So vampire, basically, those attacks, boring. I mean, it's got better, but it's the same, isn't it? And then you got the Beheading Strike. So if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with this baleful weapon is a 6, that target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any other normal damage. So it has got better for what it was before, because it was just shit. I think if you needed to roll a 6 to hit, it might be a 6 to wound, and it turned the damage from 1 to D3. Unless I'm thinking of the really old edition of the White King. I think it's definitely got better in that sense. Then you got the command ability, Lord of Bones. So you can use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly death rattle unit wholly within 12 inches of this model. Until the end of that phase, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with many weapons by that unit. So it has changed. So it gave you the add 1 to attack. So you can reroll hit rolls of 1s for. You pick 1 friendly death rattle unit wholly within 12 inches of this model. You can use this. Is this just all out attack? Is that all it is? But you can only use it on death rattle units. Maybe the range on this is better, but bored. Like the old +1 attack. So boo to the White King. Keywords death, Soulblight Gravelords, death rattle, hero, White King. But then again, all attack might change. So, in a month's time, whatever, this might actually be pretty good. So just leave that as a caveat. The White King on Skeletal Steed. It's this awesome looking model. That's great. And it's actually going to be useful in the game. Or an awesome looking model. That's great. And it's terrible in the game. Games Workshop has a habit of doing this. And let's see what they're going to do with this one. So 12-inch move, 3+ save, bravery 10, 7 wounds. Very nice stats there. That's good. That's that's a better stat line than Liege Cavios. So that's almost too good. Liege Cavios is meant to be, that much bigger and bulkier and stuff, but I'm not complaining. So it's got a White King, Skeletal Steed, blah, blah, blah. The mount is the horse. We know the gist. So the melee weapons, Tomb Lance, this is 2-inch range, 3 attacks, freeze, minus 1 rend, D3 damage. Hopefully it does something good on the charge. Let's just leave that. So H's and T's, so 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, minus 1. It's expected to be minus 1 rend, but no rend, 1 damage. Boring as fuck. That horse. Why do they always do that with a bunch of the mounts? Literally, the worst example of this in Death is the is it called the Ethereal Steed, the Night Shroud horse. Wounds on a 5, and it's only got 2 attacks. I mean, what the fuck? But for this guy, he's got the Deathly Charge. So after this model makes a charge move, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of this model and roll a dice. On a 2+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And then you got the command ability. So this is the Lord of Bones. So is that just the? I've just literally read the reroll 1s to hit. So it's the same as that. Again, looking at points because everything's got on a 2-up D for more wins. But I mean, that's not bad. I use the Chaos on the Cockchuck a lot. He's got that ability, which is good. So this guy has got alright damage output, but if Black Knights are good in this book, then I can see you taking this one over this one. But if there's a big points difference between these two, then it's just sad. It's not great. And it's really cool looking too. That's disappointing. And then you've got the keyword, so Death, Soulblight Gravelords, Death, Rattle, Hero, White King on Skeletal Steed. And then you've got Black Knight, so that's good. Straight to that, 12-inch move, 5+ save, bravery 10, 2 wounds. The mount attacks with its teeth, blah blah blah. The barrel lance, so 2-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, no rend, 1 damage. I think that's the same. The who's and teeth, so 2s, 4s and 4s. Okay, that's better. It used to be 4s and 5s, so that's good. And then you've got the so it says the champion, one model in the champion basically add 1 to its attack characteristics of its lance. You got the standard bearer, so it means you can reroll ones for the Deathless Minion trait, which we talked about earlier, so that's good. And then you got the musician, so that means that I will read it just in case it has changed. So 1 in every 5 models in this unit can be a hornblower. While this unit has any hornblowers, charge rolls for this unit. This unit of less than 6 are treated 6. Okay, yeah, so the same as it was before, which I'm not disappointed because being able to automatically charge 6 inches is great. Again, you might go, but if I had that +1 to charge, it could make the difference. So I came on a board edge and everything, which I get. But for this, that has been this case for, I think, ever since I got into it. I think the start of Age of Sigmar, that's been the case for like Death Rattle units. So, but yeah, solid, and it's stayed all the way through. So that's cool. And then you've got the ability, so you've got Deathly Charge. So after this model's made a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this. Oh no. I fucking hate Black Knights now then. After this unit makes a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this unit and roll a dice, and a 2+, that unit takes D3 mortal wounds. That's exactly the same name as the one above, isn't it? Yes, it is. Oh, right, so what they used to do, Black Knights used to just be, like, I've swerved quite a lot towards the end of this video, which I do apologise, but Black Knights used to be basically shite. And then the Legions and Nagash Battletome came out, which made them a lot better, but they were still pretty bad. The amount of times I tried Black Knights out and they just couldn't do what I expected them to do, which to be honest wasn't a lot of an expectation, but they couldn't do it, was sad. But their rules got better, because on the charge, they got a -1 rend. It was either -1 rend, they got +1 to their wound rolls, one of the two. But the big part is they went from 1 damage to 2 damage. And they don't have that now. All they do is the mortal wounds and the charge. Hang on a second. It doesn't even give them... I'm just going back to this. Where's their shield ability? They're not... Fuck me. Black Knights needed a lot of help, and they just made them worse. That's annoying, as someone who owns a lot of them. Yeah, where's their shield ability? Because we got Graveguard, so let's see if the Graveguard got the shield ability, shall we? Because a 5+ save is not good. Maybe they got a lot cheaper. Who knows? So, Graveguard. So, big boys. They've got a 4-inch move, 5+ save, bravery 10, 1 inch, not 1 inch, 1 wound, I should say. You can give Crypt Shields and a White Blade or a Great White Blade. So, the normal White Blade, so 1 inch range, 2 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 rend, 1 damage. So that's what I'm used to taking, because I've armed all mine with shields as well. Because okay, so they've got a shield ability we'll get to in a moment, because I hope so, otherwise there's no point. The Great White Base, so this is a 1 inch range, 2 attacks, 3s and 4s, -1, 2 damage. I'll be honest, I probably would have taken that if I knew, because that has definitely got a lot better, because that's used to be... The White Blades used to be freeze to hit, 4s to wound. And then the Great White Blades used to be just freeze and freeze. So, to be honest, they both got better. So, I've got +1 to my wounding for my units. And then if you go the Great Blades, you get 2 damage. So, yeah, these hit pretty well. I like these. That's a good change. Champion gets an extra attack. Standard Bearer lets you reroll the ones to Deathless Minions. Musician lets you always charge at 6 inches. Abilities, Cursed Blade. The unmodified wound roll for an attack made with this weapon is a 6 that unit suffers a 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. Oh, okay, I remember... I haven't used Graveguard for ages. I remember Graveguard as well. So if you've got a 6 to wound, it +1 to the damage, I believe it... I think it was something like that. I believe it did that. +1 to the damage. So that's a bit sad. Like, I feel like would be nice to have that +1 to damage, but I'm happy to admit that I'm probably wrong in that thinking, because the mortal wound output is probably better, just because you're making a lot of attacks with these guys, and if the enemy's got really good, saves and are unrenderable, you need the mortal wound. So the mortal wound output is probably a lot better. I accept that. There's a lot of mortal wound in this army, like quite easily, which is good. And then you have crypt shields. Add 1 to the save rolls for attacks that target this unit armed with white blades and crypt shields. So that's good. So it's not even basically the attack the enemy had to target you with didn't basically, it needed to have no rend to it. So you'll find that your it was annoying and didn't really work out that well. But this, you're just flat out +1 saves. So my guy's always on a 4-up save until the enemy brings rend. So that's all right. So why the fuck are the Black Knights not got that big? Again, I don't want to whine and bitch and all that sort of thing, and I know I have a bit, and I said in this video, I want the fluff to interact with the rules, and I'm not interested in this army being really good. It's not even a case of that. I just want Black Knights to be useful for once. Why have these guys got the shield ability and the Black Knights don't? They carry bloody shields. They even run out of space. They could have moved that down there, and then really hoping they're cheap Black Knights. That's okay. Yeah. All right. Going back to this thing, White King on Scales with Steed, awesome model. Fucking don't really see much of a use for it in the game. If his points are too high, basically. All right. Okay. And then we've got something else. So this is one of the new characters, isn't it? This is Vulgar, whatever. So this is a 10-inch move, 4+ save, 9 wounds, and 10 bravery. God, that's a big Warscroll. But it's got okay, let's read it all. So the description is a named character that has a single model. She is armed with a time-worn skimmit, a sword, basically, that looks shit. If this model is included in the Soulblight Gravelords army in the Vikings dynasty, it's true to be in the general, and not even reading, it's true to be in the general, as well as the model you pick to be the general, so that's cool. So you're always getting that command trait, which is good, and it's something that's definitely worth noting. The mount, so the walls of this model is treated as the mount. So then going on to the weapon, so you got the sword, watch 1 range, 3 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1. D3 damage. Oh, okay, so it's not as good as a generic Vampire Lord sword. Well, that's useful. And then the Lupine Fangs and Claws, 1 range, 6 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage board. Would have loved 2 damage. But then again, if it was 2 damage, then you're basically saying it's as good as Dress Abyssal. So, well, no, because it hasn't got the rend, so that doesn't make sense. Anyway, Hunger, so heals that D3 wounds. First of the Veer costs, so add 1 to the casting, dispelling, and binding rolls for this model. In addition, roll a dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model if it is within 3 inches of any friendly direwolves units. So what was that? Add 1 to the casting and binding rolls for this model. In addition, roll a dice before you allocate a wound to this. Okay, on a 3+, that wound or mortal wound is allocated to the direwolves instead. So basically like the Necromancer stuff, but just purely down to direwolves. Wasn't bad, sounds thematic and stuff, so that's cool. Yeah, that's alright ability. This one can cast 2 spells. That's interesting. So, it's a wizard can attempt to cast 2 spells in your hero phase. Don't try and bind 2 spells in the enemy hero phase. I reckon it's going to be expensive in points now. She knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Lycane Curse, and the Underkilling Moon spells. Okay, so she knows 2 unique spells. That's interesting. How many wounds has she got? 9 and 4 up, so fairly survivable, unless the enemy really wants to go up. So you've got the Lycane Curse, whatever it is. So as casting phase 7, if successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster and is visible to them. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If any models in that unit were slain by this spell before removing that last slain model, you can add 1 unit of die walls. Sorry, pardon me, I'll start at the beginning. If any models in that unit were slain by this spell before removing the last slain model, you can add 1 unit of direwolves to your army. The number of models in the new unit must be equal to the number of models in the enemy unit that was slain by this spell, so up to D3 basically. Set up the new unit within 3 inches of the slain model unit, and then remove the slain model from play. And then you've got, so that's alright. You know, it's like, it reminds me of slaying enemy units and basically turning their models into Chaos Spawn, which can be useful. And you've got Under a Killing Moon. So Under a Killing Moon, cast on value of 6 is successfully cast until your next hero phase. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon used by for any Soulblight Gravelords unit wholly within 12 inches of the caster is 6, that attack inflicts 2 hits instead of 1. Make a wound save roll for each, like we were saying earlier. It's in every Battletome. But no, that's a good spell. You can take advantage of that, so that's good. And then command ability, so Pack Alpha. So you can use this command ability at the start of your hero phase. If you do so, pick one friendly direwolf unit wholly within 12 inches of this model. That unit is eligible to fight in the combat phase if it's within 6 inches of the enemy instead of... Okay, so that's useful as well. They're just on the direwolves. It really depends on how good direwolves are. I don't think they're going to be that great, but I think they'll be better than they were before. But that will change their use because they're probably more expensive, so you can't use them as a great screen and battleline unit as they were before and just spam them basically. With her model, I don't really like her. She's too top heavy. I really like the wolves though, so it could be useful for a conversion or something to make it a bit better in my opinion. And then the keywords: Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelords, Vico Dynasty, Hero, Wizard, Vampire Lord, Blender, Volgar. Again, see the points to see what I think of her completely, but I can see her as like she's got some good stuff, some useful stuff, but then I reckon her points are just going to be too high to justify taking her. But we'll see. Lady Annika, a model I really do not like. So this is a 6-inch move, 4 plus save, bravery 10, 6 wounds. It's got the blade, proposition. Again, like my dyslexia is bad anyway, let alone recording this for this long. So it's got a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 free. And D3, oh, they've all got the same blade, have they? Even the Vampire Lord. That's interesting and really fucking boring. So, going into the description, if this model is included in a Soulblight Gravelords army with the cost and treated as being general, blah, blah, blah. So, that's good. The ability, so you've got the supernatural speed. So, the roll dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model. On a 4+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. That's good. That's, half an all damage, and she's got 6 wounds. I'm not creating a mass hammer and stuff, but does that mean that she kind of then has 9 wounds? I don't know. It definitely helps her stay alive longer. So then she's got Kiss of the Blade of Proboscination. Again, I don't know what that is. At the end of the phase, if any enemy models were slain by wounds inflicted by this model's attacks in that phase, you can heal all wounds allocated to this. Oh, okay, that is good. So she is very survivable and is pretty hard to kill unless the enemy just wants to shoot her to death. Or mortal wounded to death. Well, she's got the 4 up against more wounds than she. But what else is she doing? How else is she helping your army apart from being survivable? I could see her like on Arcane Place of the Power or something being useful, but don't like the model. Don't find a place for her. Her sword bores me apart from that ability. So going on to the next one, which is Kritzer, the Rat Prince. We saw this guy a while ago and haven't heard much about him since. So he's got a 6-inch movement, a 4+ save, a bravery of 10 and 6 wounds. Yep, that's the same copy and paste as that one. So that's fine. Going a bit too far there. Right, so the Gnar Blade, 1-inch range. Just guessing what, yeah. So 4 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 D3 damage. Now again, that's not a bad attack characteristic, but it does just feel lazy, and they've just copy and pasted it everywhere. They haven't even made some like they hit on a 4, but it's -2 range, just to not copy and paste it. So it's not even copy and paste; it's just the same template, and they just input different information where they're needed. So the description. If this model was included in a Vehicles army, it counts as your general as well as your other general, so good. So ability Scurrying Retreat. So if this model has been slain at the end of your movement phase, roll a dice and a 4+ a new model identical to this one that was slain is added to your army. Set up the new model anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy unit. I like that. That's cool because this guy's got a cool backstory with the rats and stuff from Ulfan Khan, the city that Age of Sigmar forgot by Games Workshop's hand. So, and then you have the next ability, which is the now seating Aroma, whatever that is. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with many weapons that target this model. Unless I'm missing something, guys, and if I am, let me know, obviously in the comments. But it's what I was worried with these named characters, like this one and this one as an example. Remind me of like the Mask from Sinesh, where like they're good at staying alive and they have like their own little thing, but they don't bring anything to your army. Like there's no reason you would spend points on them unless you just like the model. And I get it. You want to play whatever models you like the most. Again, that's why I always rage Sigmar, and obviously you can play any model you want in the game. You can play open play and have, games to your heart's content, blah, 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 blah. But, obviously we do talk about things on a competitive scale here, and just why would you take these two unless you really like the model? Again, I like this one comes back and stuff. The enemy can just go, oh, if I don't kill it, then it doesn't really. Like, the one thing you bring it for to like try and deep strike or something like that, like summon back on. It's on a 4, and I'm in charge of it as the enemy, so yeah, he's not going to die. Just useless. So the next one is Radical the Wolf. Can't remember if this has changed since we looked at the Curse City, but let's have a look. So 5-inch move, 7 wounds, 4+ save, bravery 10, 1-inch range, force, freeze, -1 defense. Jesus fucking Christ. Just so. Again, I'm just being a dead horse here, but just the same again. I mean, this is meant to be the sword from an ancient vampire emperor. What was amazing. It just does the same as a standard vampire lord sword. I mean, what's the difference? They're all literally buying it from the same fucking place. Right, so your ability's got the hunger, so that's good for the D3 healing to the wound. Supernatural strength, so if the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with a melee weapon used by this model is 6, that a target inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target instead of additional damage. Yeah, that's alright. The loyalty to the last. Roll a dice before you allocate a wound if they got the ogre guys base. I don't know why I'm reading this because you can't get Curse City anyway. So if you want to know my thoughts on the Curse City rules, go check out the video I did for them. I'm not reading it twice. And then we have Radical the Beast though, who is new. So he's got an 8-inch movement. He's got a 4+ save, bravery 10, and 12 wounds. So he has got the blood slit claws. So this is a 2-inch range, 6 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 rend, 2 damage. And the piercing blade, which is a 1-inch range, 6 attacks, freeze and freeze, -1 d3 damage. So you can do some damage in combat. So that's cool. His description. So if this model is included in your Soulblight Gravelords, blah blah blah. If he's Vehicos, he counts as the general, as the actual general. So companions, he's got 2 of his Bloodborne chaps next to him. Onto his abilities, he's got the Bound in Charge. So this model can run and still charge late and save turn. That's good. He then has the Hunger for healing. He has supernatural reflexes. So subtract 1 for hit rolls for attacks that target this model. And then he's got the Unleashed Ferocity. So if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with the Bloodstick is a 6, the 6 explodes. It's 2 hits. And then his command ability. So he's got Call to Hunt. So you can use his command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly model with his command ability that made a charge move in the same turn. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons used by friendly Soulblight Gravelord units wholly within 8 inches of this model until your next hero phase. The same unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than once per turn. I believe that's the same as we've got here. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, it's good, but you have to guarantee this guy getting the charge, which has got 8-inch movement, so it's not too bad. He's faster than his unbeast counterpart. And then we've got the Mustering Howl. So you can use command ability once per battle at the end of your movement phase. If you do so, you can set up 1 unit of 10 direwolves to your army. The unit must be set up wholly within 12 inches of this model, more than 9 inches away from the enemy. That's not bad. Like, 10 direwolves. I mean, we haven't read their rules yet, but compared to, saying, like, the old rules, like, it's not a bad unit to bring on. Very good at movability and stuff and screening and all that. So he is a deaf vampire, Soulblight Gravelord, Vehicles Dynasty, Hero, Vampire Lord, Radical the Beast. And then we've got Gorsar the Gravekeeper, that won't have changed. Tor Goddess the Chamberlain, that won't have changed. Again, if you want my reviews on that, go check out the other video. I get it, you can convert up your own to use their rules. But, you can't buy these models anymore. As we've already stated, they're the same. They're the same. Vargheists, there we go, that's different. So 12-inch move, 5+ save, 4 wounds apiece, and 10 bravery. So that is that has not changed as far as I'm aware. A description: a unit of Vargheist has any number of models. Obviously, it doesn't if you play match play. Each armed with murderous fangs and talons. So then going on to the melee weapons: murderous fangs and talons, 1-inch range, freeze and freeze, -1 rend, 2 damage. I think that's the same as what it was before. And then you have the champion, so makes an extra attack. Then you've got the Blood, Madden, Feeding Frenzy. So if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a unit of 6 that scores 2 hits on the target instead of 1, make a wound and save roll for each hit. That's better than it was. Basically every model you killed, you rolled a dice and on a 6 you made like an extra attack, I think it was. So that's definitely got better. Exploding 6s instead, so that's good. So they have not got better. And then you got Death Descent. This is new. So instead of setting up this unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say it is set up circling high above as a reserve unit. If you do so, at the end of your movement phase, you can set up this unit on the battlefield more than 9 inches from any enemy units at the start of the 4th battle round. Any models that are still in reserve are slain. That's cool. Yeah, so I like Vargas. Deep striking, more damage output. Cool, because they've got more attacks. So hopefully their points haven't gone up though to reflect this, because you know they weren't doing really well anyway. So hopefully the helping hand hasn't also came with a dagger in the hand to stab them to make sure they don't rise above being to a playable level. So that's a cool bit of picture as well there. So I've got like 20 odd crit flares / Vargas, so I'm just using the crit flares as Vargas. I'm not building painting different ones. Oh, so that have we? No, we've got. Oh yeah, so direwolves. So 10-inch movement, 5+ save, bravery 10, 2 wounds, so the same as it was. That's okay. And then going on to the melee weapon. So 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, no rend 1 damage. So that has stayed the same. And then you got the champion, so 1 in 10 can be a champion, extra attack. Oh, so you can't take them in units of... Well, we'll get to that later, but it's making it sound you can't take them in units of 5 now, which is... Ooh, that's annoying. And then you've got the ability, so Staggering Charge. Add 1 to the hit and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this unit if it made a charge move in the same turn. So what that means is that's got better, because it used to just be +1 to wound. So +1 to hit and wound, so it goes to freeze and freeze, is better. Obviously. And then keywords, Death, Soulblight Gravelords, Steadwalkers, Sunball, and Direwolf. So it's good that they're Sunball as well. The Fellbats. So, done. This unit. Let's see how good it is. 14-inch move, 6+ save, bravery 10, 3 wounds. Not great so far. And then it's got the melee weapon, so Elegant Fang, so 1-inch range, freeze, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. And then the single Mind Frosty, this unit can retreat and still charge at the same time. And it can. Why is someone going to pay like over £30 for 3 of these guys? I think they're awesome models. Okay, I can see why someone would buy 3 of them, because they're cool, collectors, put them in your cabinet, whatever. You know, very, very nice models. They got rid of Bat Swarms that are really useful as allegiance to the Nagash. It helped the enemy, well, it helped you stop the enemy shooting you off the board really quickly by making the minuses to hit. And then got rid of them. Again, they may come back somehow because they made new models of them for Curse City. But the Fellbats, I was really hoping for a decent... They're worse than they were before. Maybe they've got an extra wound and they can retreat and charge, which is good. Actually, you know, fuck it. I know it's late and I'm tired, but I'm going to see what the normal Fellbats are. So this is the most disappointing thing I've read since coming into this fucking God knows how long video. So the Fellbats. Let us have a look at you wherever you are in this book that is soon to become non-relevant. Actually, there's quite a lot of units in here. Bear with me just one moment. Fellbats, so their stats are the same, but their attacks are exactly the same, even got the same name. However, they can't retreat and charge, but they got the Scent of Gore. So if any models is slain within 6 inches of this unit, increase the attack characteristics of this unit's the fangs to 6 for the rest of the battle, so the 3. I prefer that because even, you know, they can retreat and charge, all that sort of thing. They're going to be dead if they get in combat. There's no way they're going to survive. If their ability was like Furies, where they can retreat, they can basically fly out of combat instead of fighting, the old like skink rule and stuff. Yeah, I could see an in for these guys if they were cheap in points, but that fucking stop swearing. So not very good. And then the keyword Death, Soulblight Gravelords, Sunball. At least they're Sunball. Like, there we go. That's the most disappointing thing I am, because I was really excited for these guys, and their rules are worse than they were before. But the Blood Knight, so this is a unit that's good. So 10-inch move, free up save, bravery 10 and 3 wounds. So then we have its Templar's Lance of Blades, doesn't matter which we give it, but it's 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage. Lose the T's for 1-inch range, 3s and 4s, no rend and 1 damage. And then you have the mount, so there's the Hooves and Teeth. Champion gets an extra attack. Standard Bear lets you reroll 1 to your deafest minion. 1 to your deafest minion, 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 1 do you know? Oh, you don't have a Hornblower. Riders of Ruin. Right, I read through this before. I'll read it again, but it sounds complicated and needs to be FAQ'd. So, in your movement phase, if this model is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, it can make a normal move. If it does so, it can pass across other units with a wound characteristic of 3 or less that do not have a mount, in the same manner as a model that can fly. After this unit has made a normal move, roll a dice for each enemy unit that has any models moved across by this unit. In this unit, any models moved across in this unit. On a 2+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Right, I've talked about this before. Don't really understand how it works. Think it needs an FAQ. If it sounds good, is all I'm going to say. Right, and then the rest of it, so it's got Martial Fury. So add on to the damage characteristics of this unit's Tempest Lancers, Blades, if this unit's made a charge move in the same turn, and then you got the Hunger, so you can heal D3 wounds. Again, we'll look at the points and stuff, but okay, that was wrong. I think they're good. I like them. I think they're good, but I feel like if you're not taking them in the Casterly dynasty, wherever it was, you're missing a trick. So I think these are good in Casterly. The other stuff, I'd have to play around to see if they're worth it. So getting on to keywords, we've got Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelord, Blood Knights. They look awesome though. Like, I'll say that, apart from the skull faces for their fucking horses. The Vampire on Zombie Dragon. Just glance at this really quickly. None of that has changed. Fly, yeah, obviously. Its Pestilence best. Breath hasn't changed. The Hunger has changed, so it heals to D3. Death Lance, add 2 to the damage cache. Okay, yes, that's changed, so it was just add 1. So adding 2 is good. So that's a nice change there. But nice change, but then it makes Prince of Horde feel like, oh, well, he hasn't really been buffed at all. And then this model is a wizard, attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase, and attempt to combine 1 spell in the hero phase. And it's got Curse of Exsanguination, something like that. Cast and various 6 or successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 8 inches of the caster that is visible to them. That unit suffers 1 mortal wound if that mortal wound is allocated to a model in that unit and not negated, and that model is not slain by that mortal wound, you can roll a dice. On a 4+, that model suffers 1 mortal wound and you can roll another dice. If that mortal wound is allocated and not negated, the model is not slain, keep rolling the dice until that unit is either has no mortal wounds or no mortal wounds are inflicted. Sorry, I'm gonna have to read that again. I'm really tired. So we've got Curse of whatever, cast and value 6. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 8 inches of the caster that is visible to them. That unit suffers 1 mortal wound if that mortal wound is allocated to that model in that unit and is not negated, and the model is not slain by that mortal wound. You can roll a dice on a 4+, that unit suffers mortal. Okay, and then you roll until it's dead, or you don't roll 4+. That's the same as I think it was called Blood Balls, the old one I had. They just changed the name. It's a good spell if you can get lucky on it, basically. And then you got Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelord, Death, Vampire, Soulblight Gravelord, Zombie Dragon, Monster, Hero, Death, and a Vampire Lord. And that is all the bloody Warscrolls. We actually made it through them all. I think this video's gone on for about 2.5, 3 hours now. But let's look at the pitch battle profile. I didn't want to do this in 2 separate videos because I've already done a part 1 for this. I don't want to do a part 2 and 3. Just make it a part 1 and 2. Right, points. So Death Rattle Skeletons. Min size 10, max size 30, so you can't take units of 40 now, as we were talking about earlier. So 85 points. Okay, so I can see a lot of 5s in this, just briefly looking. So that's something new to Age of Sigmar that we haven't seen a lot like previously. So we can see that the whole making something not just like a round number at the end is definitely something that we're going to see going forward with this. So 85 points. They have gone up 5 points. We didn't have Skeleton Warscroll here, though. That was not available to us in this pack. Just a quick look. Okay, so I went over it. Nope. And again, if I missed it, just let me know in the comments. But yeah, so 84. We don't know how much has changed, but presumably they got better, is all I'm going to say. The dire walls, 10 for max size 30, 135 points. So they No, they've technically gone down in points then. Well, that's good because they were 70 points for 5. So obviously 2 70s put together is 140, so they're 135 instead. So they have gone down in points. That's cool, but you've got to take min-size units of 10, so they're not as good as they were before because you can't just spam units of 5 to do screening. In my honest opinion. So then you have the Morse engine, which is 200 points. So that has gone up by 20 points, I believe, because it was 180, although its ability has got worse. You then have the Terrorgeist, which is 105 points, so that has gone cheaper because I think it was 120. Well, it might have been 300 to be fair. And it's battle line, obviously, in a Avengoria dynasty. And again, just to say that the dire walls and the skeletons are just flat out battle lines. That's good, it hasn't changed. Morse engine is a behemoth. Zombie Dragon is a one model, 295 points. It's behemoth and battle line in a Avengorian dynasty. So I can flat out say that has got cheaper in points. So that's good. And then they've put all the Cursed City models still together in one grouping, and they've made it more expensive. It's just a big fuck you to people who bought Cursed City, really. So then going on to Prince Duval and the Crimson Court for 200 points. He's unique, but he did have some play. He is expensive, to be fair, but might find some use for that. But we'll see. We'll see what he's like, basically. And then you got Blinda Vorgard, the first of the Vehicos, for 200 points. She 2-cast Wizard for 200 points. That's not too bad. The one riding the wolf. So yeah, there could be play there. And then you got Kritzo, the Rat Prince, for 95 points. Okay, so he's cheap. He's a cheap hero. He's a hero, right? Let's just double check this just before I give a verdict on my thoughts. Yeah, it was above all the Cursed City stuff. Here we go. Yeah, that is a cheap hero. So I'll take back what I said. Like, what is he adding? Well, he is a hero that adds synergy via just being pure Soulblight. There's not really more synergy than that, apart from just giving the death save and all that sort of thing. But 95 points is cheap. And then you have Lady Annika, the first in Blade, for 110 points. Is a hero that's pretty hard to kill for 110 points. But I think if you start going, well, that's only 95 points, that's a cheap hero, and then 110 points here, that's cheaper. If you start adding all those things up, you're gonna start losing value, aren't you? Because you could have the Crimson Court, which adds synergy to your army for cheaper than both those heroes put together. Necromancers is 125 points. I think that's more expensive. I think he's 110 currently. We might be 130. I think it's 110. And then you have Radica the Beast. So 1 inch. So one model. 350 points though. They have a good command ability, but I think is unique. It might be hard to justify putting him in your list, but something I do want to say here is that Legion of Nagash did suffer from, basically, you got your Vampire Lord, you got your Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. You want a hero that's kind of bridges the gap between them? You don't. So what I'm seeing here is a lot of steps in between these small and big heroes. So I do like it. So when I go 350 points, people are going to pay for that. It's an option. So I do appreciate it. The Vampire Lord, 140 points. That hasn't changed, but it's got worse. The Vengori Lord, 280 points. So that's not bad. So that's the generic Mother of Nightmare. So I think that's good value. I like that. I'd pay that. Again, I haven't play tested this stuff, but at the moment, just reading it, I'd pay that. I think it's cool. A White King is 115 points. Yep, probably won't be paying that. And then the White King Serial Steed is 100. To be fair, 130 points for that. Although it didn't really add much, 130 points for that characteristic of a 12-inch move, a 3+ save, 7 wounds, and then alright damage potential, alright with command ability. That's not bad for 130 points. I think that's worth. Okay, if the model was shit, I wouldn't be defending it. But nice model, cheap points for what it's like. Maybe whatever. Move on. So the next one, Bloodseeker Panicum, 290 points. No, I just don't see how you're paying that. So again, if you think differently, let me know in the comments. Carbon Foam, 310 points. It had a great command ability, I think it was, but 310 points, absolutely not. Again, disagree, let me know. Manfred von Caster and Mortarch of Night, 380 points. Yeah, that seems, I think, give them a go. I think 380 points. I was worried they're going to make them 440 or something. It's if made it still not worth taking. So 380, I think definitely worth a punt. And then I had heard of the point increase for this one, which is obviously going to be myself because it's Nagash, the Supreme Lord of the Undead. 975 points. He's 880 points currently because this hasn't came out yet. And I think he's shit for that. I mean, honestly, like, again, Ostrich Bone Reapers, taking him a cash cross, he can do this, that, and the other. Legion of Gash, though, terrible. Maybe there's some tech in Soulblight Gravelords because he can have the keyword, he fits in and it. Oh my god, it's actually really good here. Like, there's been some secret tech discovered for Nagash with cash cross and stuff, and Ostrich Bone Reapers. But his Warscroll won't have changed, as far as I'm aware, unless he's got a new Warscroll in the Soulblight Gravelords, and, you know, haven't seen it, obviously. 975 points. I mean, that's basic. When he was 880 points, it was easy to say that he's basically half your army. 975, he is half your army. Yeah, like, I'm hoping he's getting some buffs coming his way. Or maybe in Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition, we play, like, our standard game's now 2,000 points, then our standard game's now 2,500 points. Maybe, but I don't really see the points reflecting in any of the other units, so hoping Nagash gets better, because I haven't used my Nagash for ages, and I really like my Nagash, obviously. I named my channel after him, so yeah. Really am expecting high things from Games Workshop here when it comes to giving Nagash a buff. Then you have Neferata Mortarch of Blood for 365 points. Haven't seen her Warscroll, but there is a Warhammer community article up for her. We might have a look after this, but the video's gone for a long, long time now. And then you've got Prince Hordre, so 455 points. I think he might have been 460, so that might have came down. And he's got better, like, because the charge was +2 damage, but the breath for Shaiish has got worse. Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, 435 points. That has gone down because he was 440 as far as I'm aware. And then you've got Black Knights, there's 5 of fucking 120. But, like, Legion of Blood, the battle line, like, no, not taking them. Shit. And then you got Blood Knights, 5 for 195 points. Battle line in Castle. Okay. What are my thoughts on Blood Knights? Because they are the new shiny knights. You know, Black Knights, you can't forget about them. Blood Knights. I think that's fair. I think in a Castile army, that's a fair point cost. I'm not looking at it and go, ooh, that's a steal, that's a bargain. Castile army, think they're worth it. In the other armies, I'm not really too sure if they're going to be taken. And then you've got the Corpse Cart with a Balefire Brazier, so a Balefire Brazier. So you've got for 80 points, the Corpse Cart point hasn't changed, which is good because its ability on the load one's got worse. But, you know, so they haven't changed in points. They're still really cheap, which is good. Deadwalker Zombies, 20 for 115, which is cheaper because currently they're 10 for 60. But again, you've got to take units of 20 now, so no cheap units of 10. If you did run that, and they can only go max size units of 40, and there's no discount for that, and there's no discount for any of this stuff. So maybe mass Legion regiment discounts are gonna no longer be a thing in Age of Sigmar in 3rd edition. Because this book is like the last book for 3rd edition, so this is like lining us up for what we can expect, because the release dates are so close to each other. Felbats, unit of 3 for 75 points. Okay, they're really cheap in points, like really cheap. I could see them being used like ether wings in the terms of like they're just like there to quickly grab an objective or something like that, and they're just objective grabbers and they're fast and they fly. I could see them being there, but you just might not have the 70 points to do it. But that's the only use I can see for them. So maybe like you might be watching this in 6 weeks from now, and that's what people have been using for. And everyone at least includes like 2 in their list just to do that. And I sound like an idiot right now, but that's the only use I could see for them. And that doesn't like that is a very good use, but they just seem really squishy. But I never played with like are they even called? I think they're called ether wings, aren't they? The birds for Stormcast. And then you've got Graveguard, so unit of 10 for 140 points. I don't think that's changed. Battle Line into General is a White King. And then Battle Line. So Deadwalker Zombies, yeah, Battle Lines are growing me. And then you take a unit of 30 of them. So it feels like they're the elite version of Skeleton Warriors, but they just don't feel like the match up. But their Warscrolls is pretty good. So yeah, that seems fair. And then you've got the Cervical Guard, almost forgot about them. The Underworld Warband. 7 models for 80 points, probably not worth it. And then you've got the Vargeist, which are free for 155, which I think I was going to get the Battletome, but I know that might have been changed in points since, so I won't have a look in there. But I think they might have gone up by 5 points, which is a shame. Well, they might have been 160, so might have came down by 5 points. They definitely got better than they got before. So that's all right. That's an all right point cost, hopefully. And then you got the Death March, and we haven't gone through that. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do that now. Just so, because I did say we were looking at those battalions tonight. So I'll tell you what, we'll try and memorize the points when I compare them, just so they sound a bit okay. Death March 120. Fuck it, I'm not going to remember that. Let's just look at them. I think they were fairly high up here. Because that's the first lot, and then that's because Manfred's there. Yeah, so that's the first lot. Okay, so you've got the red Banqueters. So this is so you need 2 plus Vampire Lords, so presumably just 2, and then however many more you want. Yeah, cool. That's usually it's like 2 to 4 or state, but yeah, so 2 or however many you want. So 1 Bloodseeker Palanquin or Coven Throne, oh dear, and 2 Blood Knights. So in your hero phase, so for the blood is the life, ability. So in your hero phase, you can heal up to D3 wins allocated to each unit in this battalion. I mean, that's pretty good to keep your heroes alive, especially if they're healing those D3 anyway. And this fits a lot of your heroes in, but you're taking a Bloodseeker Palanquin or a Coven Throne, which I would see as a tax. But you got your Blood Knights, but maybe there's a use here. So there's that. And then you've got the Fellow in Flock. So, this is one with Vargeist and new Felbats, God's sake. But what do you get for it? So, Sweep and Predators. So, add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by units in this battalion if those units made a charge move in the same turn. Okay, I quite like that. That's pretty good. Makes your Vargeist better. Again, we'll look at the points and stuff, but yeah, that's not bad. And that's the first 2 for this one. And like I say, Felbats are attacks, but again, I'm starting to think Felbats are actually probably going to be quite good for objective grabbing. And to sort of like subtract maybe that rant I did earlier. And they're not expensive if they are attacks anyway. And then we got these 2. So the Death Stence Drove. So 1 to 2 Corpse Cut, 2 Direwolf units, 2 Deadwalker Zombie units. So add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons used by units. Pardon me. In this battalion, why those units are wholly within 12 inches of a corpse cart in this battalion. So that's good. So now your zombies are making 2 attacks each, so you can start spamming those mortal wound potential attacks, which is useful. That's what I would use this for. Your direwolves are probably flying up a screen, or they might flying up the board. There might be a screen for your zombies, so you could still get it. So yeah, that's not bad. And then, funny, Death March, which has been around since the start of Age of Sigmar and has never really been very good. It used to be better. 1 White King, 1 to 3 units of Black Knights, 1 to 3 units of Graveguard, and 2 units of Death Rattle Skeletons. So, at the start of your movement phase, okay, so usually it's the hero phase, this ability, so it has changed, I believe. So at the start of your movement phase, you can pick up to 3 different friendly units in this battalion that are wholly within 12 inches of this battalion's White King. Again, it's keyworded White King, so you can take the one on steed and the one on foot. If you do so, add 3 to the move characteristics of each of those units in that phase. They can still either run or charge. Is that better or worse? I mean, it's good. Okay, if I really want to see this Chaos Warrior Warscroll, and to be fair, Graveguard are better, so it's going to help you get your movement. So I like this to try and help out your Graveguard, but you are going to take your Black Knights to do it, and you are going to have to take Death Rattle Skeletons, but they are battle lines, so maybe you'll find use there with the Death Rattle Skeletons. But let's have a look in points now. It's not great, but I do prefer Graveguard now. So Death March, 120 points. It's not the most expensive battalion, in the world. It can include quite a bit of your army, so I think I'd give it a go, see how it does. Try and spam Graveguard. And then you've got the Death Stance Drove for 100 points. I think that's good for your zombies. And then you've got the Fellow and Flock. Oh, for 80 points. Yeah, I'll try that. I'll eat my words and give Felbats a go and Vargeist. Vargas, I think they're called. Yep, Vargas. Okay. I think that's cool. And you got the Legion of Shaiish, which was... That's 5 battalions there, isn't it? Any red? Is there? Are we missing one, or did I miss it myself? Let's have a look. Let's go slowly through here. Okay, no, that's Death March stuff. Okay, it's not here, but I reckon I can tell you what it is. It's probably just going to be, you need to include all the battalions, and then it gives you like an extra thing, like once per battle you get to +1 to your bravery for your army or something shit like that. But you need to take like a 5,000 point army to, would actually be good because it's a mega battalion. That's what I reckon that is. Right, let's go back to the points. So, right, that's that. And then the Red Banquet for 100 points. Again, I see the Palanquin and the Come Thronus attacks, but I haven't used those models. So, again, I'm not experienced, so I could be completely wrong, and I'm sure if I am, you guys let me know. But like I say, if you let me know, tell me why. And then when it says your allies, you can have Soulblight Gravelords. So that's obviously, sorry, that's your faction. But then your allies are Flesh-Eater Courts and Nighthorn. So I think that's the same as what it was before. It's no worse, certainly. And then I just want to, while we're here, and I've done all this, and I've read through all this, and this video is already really long. Let's see what it says about Neferata, shall we? So let's go on the Warhammer community article. But actually, no, I won't do that. It's because it's really late. And also, I'm going to be reviewing all this stuff when I get my hands on the Battletome. So obviously, I'm just going to be talking twice about everything. And Warhammer community articles now are like, oh, look at this information. And it's like, well, to be fair, the Neferata stuff they kept quiet, but the Legion of Blood, we all know that does now. So what are my overall thoughts of the reaction, or what my reaction to the leaked information we know about the Soulblight Gravelord Battletome? Because this feels like rules-wise 70% of the Battletome we've got here. My thoughts. I think that they are good. I don't think easy. They're not the strongest army. I don't think they're not the strongest army. They're not in the top 5 strongest army from what I can see already. Are they even the top of like the middle tier of what we have in Age of Sigmar? I don't know. But I think they're good. I think they could definitely compete in like the fat middle of Age of Sigmar to become, to be the top or like, top 3 or whatever. I don't think they're bad. They're what I was after, I think, because I said that I wanted them to be good. I didn't want them to be too good, because then I feel bad playing them, because I don't like playing the top armies. So I'm happy at the level they're at. It saddens me, though, that, what's great is that we saw some big improvements in some things in the Legion of Nagash Battletome, but I was hoping not to see unimprovements, like Black Knights making them worse, as an example. Making the Cursed City heroes who you're never going to take worse by increasing their points. I'm sure there was other examples. Yeah, making like the Mortis Engine +1 to cast ability, not as good. Making the Corpse Card +1 to cast ability, not as good. Like, it's like they raised the army up, and then they just saw a few units that were like struggling. So basically, they raised the army out from the waters. The army really needed to do Battletome. They was drowning, they raised up, and then there was like a few stragglers still paddling around the water, and they just got like a AK and shot them in the head, i.e. the Black Knights and some other units. But apart from that, I do disagree with some of the comments I've seen. Again, I haven't had a chance to reply, and by the time this video goes, by the time it is at night, I doubt I'll have a chance to reply tonight, but this video may go up tomorrow now, because by the time it's like edited and exported and uploaded, it's probably going to be too late for any of you guys to watch it. So it might go up now tomorrow instead. Probably be better for you guys to watch. But what I was going to say is, on the comments I saw for the first video, I saw a lot of people complaining that this video is now like just awful and terrible. I disagree with that. I can see if you were expecting this army to become potentially top tier, because that is wrong to go like, well, why do you presume that? No, because half these Battletomes they make are fucking broken, and the other half are left by the what's the waistline or wayline, or left by the road or whatever. But I think Soulblight Gravelords are one of the few unique armies that find itself in the middle. They're neither made by the bin tier or the top tier. In my personal opinion, again, I haven't played this army. I haven't played the new rules, but I think they definitely got used. I think they're good. They're not broken. They're good, and they're not terrible. They fit in the middle, which is my favourite place to play Age of Sigmar, in that fat middle tier. So I'm happy they landed here. I feel like the rules really nicely reflect the lore, is what I was after. So I'm happy with what I've read here today. Again, when I get the Battletome myself, I'm going to do another reading of it to see what I actually think. Like, I don't know if I get games in and stuff, very busy these days, but I'll try and do the best review I can after all this information is soaked in. So with that, guys, I'm going to say that I hope you enjoyed this video. It's gone on for a very long time. Hopefully the fucking video stays properly when I stop recording, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you've got any different opinions to me, again, like I say, my opinion's not always right. If you've got something different, put it in the comments down below, but explain, if you don't disagree with me, explain why you disagree and why you think this could be better at that, or you think why that's terrible. Let me know, obviously. But if you've got any questions or anything like that on Soulblight Gravelords, make sure you put that down below as well, so I'll be happy to try and help you best I can. And let me know, like, it's not always if you just disagree with me, but if you agree with me, which is always nice, let me know that down below. Just generally your thoughts on what you think, what we've seen from the leaks of the Soulblight Gravelords would be great to hear. And what I will say as well is, if you did enjoy the video, please, as usual, smash the like button, the subscribe button, the bell notification. 3 easy clicks, and what they allow you to do is, by liking the video, it means I'm going to see this and go, right, people like this content, I'm going to make more Soulblight Gravelords stuff, or I'm going to cover more leaks or news, that sort of stuff. And it helps the channel by YouTube going, oh, people liking this video, they're going to try and recommend it to people. By subscribing to the channel, that's how the channel grows. The bigger the channel gets, the better the content gets. Simple as that. And then by smashing the bell notification, it means that you'll never miss a future one of my videos. If you're interested in Soulblight Gravelords, if you've made it to this part of the video, I really hope you are, or you've got literally nothing better to do. Hope it is the former. Then it means that you will never miss one of my future videos on Soulblight Gravelords or anything else that I'm covering at the moment. And what I say as well is that if you would like to support this channel a step further, I have got a Patreon and a YouTube membership. So what that means is, if you click the join button next to the subscribe button, it will allow you to become a member here on Age of Nagash, where you can give anything from £1 a month that goes straight towards helping the channel and keeping the channel going. And if you'd like to support on Patreon instead, there's a link to my Patreon on top of the description down below, where you click it, goes to my Patreon, give anything from $1 a month. Again, you don't have to do this, guys, but it is by the people who you can see on this list here, who I read out, who because of them I'm able to keep this up. If I didn't have support from Patreon and YouTube members, I wouldn't be doing this channel. Simply, YouTube requires too much time, effort and money for me to be able to justify doing. But because of these people, I can justify it, because I can see that these people are willing to support me on a personal level. That allows me to be able to, like I say, justify everything I put into this channel. So huge thank you to these people. And if you would like to become one of these amazing people, make sure to click the join button or the link to the Patreon. Like I say, even just $1 or £1 goes straight towards helping me out, and I would be hugely appreciative of it. But to say the people who have made that decision are going to be my amazing and best top tier supporters, which of course are going to have to start with my Vampire Lords and Zombie Dragons, which are going to be Stuart F and Filq. Thank you so much for your continued support, guys, and that tier, it's really, really good. Thank you so much for continuing. Like I say, support, it really does help, and it's a huge contribution you're giving, so I really am appreciative of it. And then my Morgasts, so it's going to be Bleed Red, so thank you so much for your continued support, mate. I know you've been a Morgast for a long, long time. My Vampires, very relevant for this video, obviously, going to be Martin S, Rouse321, David A, Ronni H, SpareBear, Christopher H, Northdrop, Nathan F, and Stence. Thank you so much for your continued support, guys. It makes a huge difference. And then my Necromancers, which is Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Dice Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Christopher C, Christopher F, James S, Robin S, Steve T, James T, Patrick F, JJ, Thomas B, and R. Christopher. Thank you so much for your continued support. All of you guys, because of you, like I say, I can keep this content up, try and get people into Age of Sigmar, and continue the Age of Sigmar journey to try and create and spread this community that we all do really enjoy. So if anyone would like to support that way, I'd be hugely thankful for that. But if you can't do it, that's absolutely fair enough. But if you did enjoy the video, all I ask you is smash the like, subscribe, and press the bell notification. If you feel like you know someone who enjoys this video as well, make sure you share it with them. And if you'd like to join the conversation, we have got a Discord here in Age of Nagash, which is all talking all things about Soulblight Gravelords right now. So make sure you click to join the Discord in the description of this video. It's absolutely free, great bunch of people down there, you won't regret it. And what I'll also say as well is, above anything else, guys, I'm just really glad that you came here watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go get a Strepsil now and everything else because my voice is pretty much gone. And get something to eat and stuff because long video. I haven't done a long video like this for a while, like in one straight recording. And what I'd also say as well is remember till next time to obviously stay safe, stay hygienic, make sure you wear a mask. For God's sake, wash your hands. So by the time these guys come out and we've actually have non-leaked information so we can actually nicely read it in a book and everything in order, means you can play your army in person because we're all hopefully going to be in a better situation because we've all stayed by the rules. But more importantly than any of that is remember until next time that Nagash is all and all is one in Nagash.